Chapter 141, Faching Chu Yang.
Even the immortal physiques that grand emperors longed for, yet could not obtain, one of them had merged naturally with Shenyuan Shentian at the moment of his birth. It was clear, the Golden Emperor battle physique had been born for him. From the day he was born, Shenyuan Xuantian's name shook the entire western region. But later on, he lived a very low-key life. As more and more prodigies emerged in the Divine Sun's sacred ground, people gradually forgot him. Whenever someone brought him up again, they would sneer dismissively, "Oh, that loser who wasted his battle physique?" But everything changed when one day he walked back into the Divine Sun's sacred ground, carrying a giant axe on his back, and crushed nearly all of his peers in a single sweep. From then on, he re-emerged like a blazing sun across the sky, his name resounding far and wide. Now, their battle had reached its climax. Shenyuan Shentian stood atop his golden crow, wielding a massive axe, wreathed in flames. His entire figure blazed like a burning inferno. Across from him, Chu Yang stood beneath the yin-yang diagram, primordial yin-yang energy swirling around his wandering dragon sword. He was no less powerful. "It's time to end this," Shenyuan Shentian said calmly. Spirit force exploded from his body, and golden light surged outward. When the light faded, the crowd saw that a faint golden armor now covered his entire body, not worn, but grown from within. At the center of the chest plate was a carved dragon's head. Coiled across his torso, a golden dragon. His arms were shaped like two snarling gold dragons ready to burst from his body. "That's the Golden Emperor battle physique. Ha-ha! It's over. Chu Yang doesn't stand a chance now." The disciples of the Divine Sun's sacred ground shouted excitedly. After fully activating his physique, Shenyuan Shentian stood well over 2 meters tall. Looking down on Chu Yang, he said coldly, "Little bug, your jumping ends here." He roared, then raised his axe and brought it down with immense force. "The one whose time is up is you."
Chu Yang roared back.
To the shock of everyone watching, he caught the massive axe with one hand. Green spirit force swirled around his body. A vortex symbol appeared on his forehead, and his eyes became sharp as blades. His ears elongated like an elf's. People rubbed their eyes in disbelief. "He's got a battle physique too," someone shouted. "What kind of physique is that?" Chatter erupted throughout the crowd. While the 100 battle physiques were renowned throughout the primordial heartlands, many remained undocumented or unknown. "Sect Master Wu, what battle physique does your disciple have?" Someone asked Wu Shaoqing, sect master of the Yin-Yang sect. "The Azure Cloud battle physique, ranked 72nd among the 100 battle physiques," she replied with a trace of pride. She remembered clearly, when she first brought Chu Yang to the sect to compete for the position of Holy Sun, many elders had opposed it. But during the trials, he revealed not only the primordial yin-yang dual energies, but also a battle physique. With both traits combined, the elders could no longer object, and Wu Shaoqing named him Holy Sun. Later, she even activated the yin-yang diagram to help him break through to the desolate meridian realm and condense his true fate. Gripping the axe tightly in his hand, Chu Yang sneered. "Battle physiques aren't unique to you. What's there to brag about?" Green light exploded from his body. Yin-yang energy flowed into his wandering dragon sword, merging with his battle physique. He slashed downward, space shattered, and swirling spirit force twisted into a chaotic vortex. Shenyuan Xuantian's long hair scattered wildly from the pressure. He roared, "Even if you have a physique too, I'll still be the one who wins." Their weapons collided, wandering dragon sword versus giant axe. A deafening explosion echoed through the sky. The arena, forged from black tortoise iron, cracked beneath their feet. Shock waves spread outward from the center. Lightning flashed, thunder roared, and all was swallowed by the vortex. Shenyuan Xuantian's massive body was thrown from the platform, crashing into the ground below and raising a cloud of dust. Chu Yang stood calmly, sheathing his sword. His aura faded as he exhaled slowly and scanned the crowd. A stunned silence fell over the audience. Everyone stared at that not-so-tall but commanding figure. The name Chu Yang etched itself into their minds. With Shenyuan Shentian defeated, the final match would be between Su Zimo and Chu Yang. Each was granted half an hour of rest before the championship bout. Even though the match wouldn't begin for a while, the entire arena buzzed with excitement and speculation. Few had predicted this final showdown. One was the low-key, little-known son of the true martial sacred grounds vice lord. The other was a recently appointed holy son of the Yinyang sect, whose fame had only begun to rise. As the rest period ended and the two walked onto the stage, an unnatural silence fell across the arena. Then, as they stood face to face, the silence shattered. Roars of cheering and applause thundered through the crowd, louder than ever before. A gentle breeze stirred their robes and hair, but while the crowd roared with excitement, the two men on stage remained calm. "Let me introduce myself," Su Zimo said with a smile. "My name is Su Zimo. I'm Chu Yang," the other replied with a nod, eyeing Su Zimo with suspicion. He still had no idea what grudge this person held against him. He had no idea that the one who had stolen his hell-suppressing pearl, his world orb, and helped Renpingsheng massacre the Heavenly Sword Sect, was standing right in front of him. "I used to treat you as my greatest rival," Su Zimo said after a pause. "I trained so hard, thinking of how to beat you." He gave a self-deprecating smile. "But now that fate has brought you in front of me again, I've realized something. You're not even worth the effort." His words were quiet, but in his mind he was already back in that final moment from his past life. That scene of humiliation, of a life crushed underfoot, while a young man in the sky looked down on him with arrogant pride. This time, he would be the one standing above. Chapter 142, Awakening the Hell-Suppressing Deity Physique. He could only look up. In fact, he wasn't even qualified to look up. He was like a beaten, dead dog thrown to the side of the road. As much as he hated to admit it, at that time he was truly weak to the point of insignificance. In his previous life, when the wandering dragon's sword tore through the silent void, and Chu Yang came charging at him wielding his universe-grade divine blade, riding an ancient god beast to take his life, he frantically and pathetically poured all his cultivation energy into the primordial chaos bead, trying to tear open space and escape. In that moment, space collapsed, time froze, and boundless spirit force flooded the heavens. Then he was reborn, sent back to the day it all began. Upon hearing Su Zimo's words, Chu Yang was silent for a moment. Then he slowly raised his head, his gaze clear and resolute, and said, "I don't understand exactly what you mean, but I, Chu Yang, have never feared anyone on this path I've walked. Whether it's your true martial sacred ground, or the fact that you're the son of the vice lord of an imperial lineage, I've never been afraid. Even if I'm weak, without resources or backing, I'm willing to fight with everything I have. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Everything I possess has come from my own opportunities and efforts. My conscience is clear." Su Zimo shook his head with a smile and replied, "None of it really matters anymore. To fully part with the past, and to show you respect, I will defeat you with my full strength, so you can understand the despair I once felt. That kind of despair where even resistance is unimaginable. When you look up at a mountain, but you'll never know how many more mountains lie beyond it. Then let's see." Chu Yang's eyes blazed with determination. He raised his sword and shouted to the heavens, "I, Chu Yang, though born insignificant as dust, will live brilliantly like the blazing sun. I want my light to shine for eternity. I want my name to be known across the 5 continents. I want my name to spread throughout the entire primordial heartlands. That is my Tao. Shining for eternity, known across the 5 continents." Su Zimo laughed to the sky, a laugh laced with madness and suppressed rage. His voice dropped into a low, menacing growl. He slowly raised his head, his eyes filled with an indescribable insanity. "But I just want to crush you under my feet. Imagine it. Really imagine it. That feeling must be so beautiful. I can feel my heart about to burst from my chest. So excited. My heart is excited. My blade is excited.
I'm truly.
So damn excited. Excited to slice you into 1,000 pieces. To gut you. To tear you limb from limb. Suzimo looked up at the sky and slowly closed his eyes. In that moment, a terrifying demonic aura began to radiate from his body. The sky has turned blood red. Someone in the crowd murmured, gazing upward. Thunder roared through the sky. What was once calm and peaceful now churned with black storm clouds. Dark clouds surged across the heavens. Thunder growled, lightning rampaged. Demonic aura erupted in the sky. Suzimo slowly opened his eyes. His hair had turned blood red, wild and unruly atop his head. Strange patterns appeared on his face, purple streaked with black. His eyes were pitch black, with torrents of immense demonic energy swirling deep within them. The blood vessels in his body pulsed visibly, as if they were about to burst. Suzimo stepped into the air, wrapped in endless demonic energy. In the sky above, a black lightning dragon roared. With one slash of his blade, Shadow Tyrant, a deafening dragon's roar shook the air. The Shadow Dragon pattern on Shadow Tyrant seemed to come alive. The entire blade transformed into a dragon-shaped weapon. This weapon had always been forged from high-tier materials, infused with the soul of a shadow dragon. Back when it was a mortal-grade weapon, the dragon soul had been dormant. Now, Suzimo had elevated it to a heaven-grade weapon, further infusing it with the solar and lunar essence, heavenly thunder, earthly fire, torrents, and hurricanes, 6 elemental forces. Now that the dragon soul had been awakened, the shadow dragon roared, its massive form spiraling in midair. Lightning surged, torrents raged, flames roared, hurricanes ripped through the sky. Suzimo stood atop the dragon, the apocalyptic sky serving as his backdrop. He looked down on the world like a demon god descending to earth, his emotionless gaze coldly surveying the mortal realm. At that moment, Chu Yong felt his azure cloud battle physique trembling, a shudder that came from deep within his soul. He couldn't control it. Looking up at the figure in the sky, he was filled with fear. No, it was his battle physique that feared. The first battle physique, the hell-suppressing deity physique, Suzimo said calmly as he stepped through the sky. As the words left his mouth, not only the ordinary disciples below, but even the sect masters of powerful factions stood up in shock. Impossible! Wu Shaoqing muttered in disbelief, staring at the demonic figure above. How could the first battle physique appear in this era? The revelation shook everyone to their core. The 100 battle physiques were legendary in the primordial heartlands. Their origins were even older than Heaven's will itself. Over the ages, as more battle bodies appeared, people had become less surprised by them. There were even stories of geniuses with great battle bodies failing to seize the Heaven's will. But among the 100, 3 were exceptions, the top 3. Those 3 had never appeared. Not even rumors. One wise man once prophesied, "The top 3 battle physiques shall not appear lightly, but when they do, they shall appear together, heralding an era of unparalleled brilliance." Grand Emperor Jinwu was great. He created the imperial era and was the first Grand Emperor of the human race. Yet even in his time, the 3 never appeared. Grand Empress Hongtian was legendary. She stood undefeated and influenced generations of emperors, yet even in her age, no word of the 3. But now, the one hailed as the supreme battle body had appeared. Now, I become a mountain standing in your way. Suzimo stepped through the sky and smiled.
Come, Chu Yang.
Defeat me, climb this mountain, and your dream of shining for eternity will begin.
Chu Yanges Gaze Hardened.
The azure cloud battle physique surged with green light into the sky. The yin-yang life diagram hovered above his head. Sword in hand, surrounded by yin and yang energy, he charged directly at Suzimo.
Pak!
A palm descended from the heavens, shrouded in dark demonic energy. Chu Yang was slapped away like a rag doll. He crashed heavily into the nearby iron chains. Suzimo landed on the arena stage and smiled lightly. The game has only just begun. Don't disappoint me. I will never give up. Chu Yang wiped the blood from his lips and charged again.
Pak!
Another palm. Chu Yang was sent flying once more. Su Zimo clenched his fist. The space around it instantly shattered. From within his body, energy from his true fate world continuously merged into him, as he entered the most powerful state of the hell-suppressing deity physique. Chapter 143, This World is Gray. Su Zimo clenched his fists. He felt stronger than ever before. Beside him, Chu Yang was already covered in blood. Yet he still staggered to his feet and charged at Su Zimo. Su Zimo let out a light laugh, grabbed Chu Yang by the throat, and slowly lifted him into the air. Brother Chu Yang, Bailey Xiao shouted from below the arena, her face streaked with tears. She desperately tried to run onto the stage, but was blocked by Xiao Ruoxuan. The match isn't over. If you go up now, no one will be able to save him. You'll only make things worse, Xiao Ruoxuan quickly said. Auntie, save him, I beg you. Bailey Xiao cried, tears pouring down her face. Xiao Ruoxuan sighed as she looked at the arena, unsure of what to do. Looking at Chu Yang's fearless gaze, Su Zimo said calmly, I've heard a lot of stories, water dripping through stone, a mayfly shaking a tree, an ant trying to topple a tree. Maybe one ant can't do it, but what if there are thousands, millions of ants? Even if they bite with their tiny jaws, someday they might bring that tree down. People often use this to describe those who work hard and never give up. You're that ant. But I'm not the tree maybe I used to be. But now, I just want to crush that ant before it can topple the tree. Smash it until it's nothing but pulp. After saying this, Su Zimo hurled Chu Yang away. Chu Yang's body slammed into the iron chains again, his back a mess of blood and flesh. Yet he still picked up his wandering dragon sword and walked step by step towards Su Zimo. Boom! Su Zimo threw another punch, sending Chu Yang flying once again. Thanks to the presence of endless regret, Chu Yang couldn't feel pain. He struggled to his feet, forced a twisted smile at Su Zimo, and attacked once more. Little Yang, give up. It's just a match. It's not worth dying over. Came the voice of the Lord of Samsara from the ring. Master, I don't want to lose. I will never give up. I will keep walking forward against all odds. That is my Tao. Chu Yang replied with a bloody smile, his grin unnerving. Another mouthful of blood poured out. And so it went for over a dozen rounds. Chu Yang was slapped away by Su Zimo every time. Su Zimo didn't bother ending the match quickly. Chu Yang was like an indestructible cockroach. Each time he was knocked down, he got up again. Below the arena, Bailey Zhao's cries had gone hoarse, but Chu Yang still refused to surrender. Hurts, doesn't it? Su Zimo turned and looked at Bailey Zhao. She glared at him, eyes filled with hatred. Surrender already, it's just a match, shouted a disciple from the crowd. More and more disciples joined in, many even closing their eyes, unable to bear watching the cruelty unfold. When Su Zimo smacked him away yet again, he walked over and slowly crouched before Chu Yang, looking at his blood-covered face. Look, so many people are worried about you. Must be nice. But that's what weaklings like you get, sympathy. I don't need anyone's sympathy. I just want everyone to look up to me. Eventually, they won't even be worthy of that. I don't care. I will defeat you. Chu Yang spat blood and forced the words out. He tried to get up, but his injuries were far too severe. He struggled several times but couldn't stand. They say light always triumphs over darkness. But look around. How much darkness do you see in this world? The light you believe in, maybe it was once darkness too. I've always believed there are no truly good or evil people. There's no absolute black or white. In truth, all beings exist in shades of gray. As Su Zimo crouched next to Chu Yang, the sect master of the Yin-Yang sect, Wu Shaoqing, called out anxiously, Su Zimo, our Yin-Yang sect concedes. I request you, please don't kill him. Don't worry. Since you concede, I won't touch him, Su Zimo replied. Then he leaned in close to Chu Yang's ear and whispered, Let me tell you one more thing. I heard you and Bailey Xiao grew up together, childhood sweethearts, right? Well, she was promised to me a long time ago. Don't worry, I'll take good care of her in your place. That reminds me, that night, that moment of passion. TSK, TSK. I bet you don't know what that feels like.
Su Yimo smiled.
Seeing Chu Yang's eyes turn blood red, he continued, actually, the fall of your heavenly sword sect? That was me, I had someone do it. Oh, and you know the immortal spirit sect's been hunting you, right? That was me too. If they can't find you, they'll slaughter Sunshine Village instead. How does that make you feel? Pretty awful. Huh? But me? I feel great. Go to hell. Chu Yang roared, and somehow, from deep within, he found the strength to punch Su Zimo in the gut. Su Zimo flew backward, spitting blood non-stop for several minutes. He looked at Chu Yang in disbelief and said weakly, "You broke the rules. You'd already surrendered, and still you ambushed me. I'll kill you." Chu Yang screamed, grabbing the wandering dragon's sword and charging. His face was covered in blood, but now he wept tears of rage. He'd been an orphan since childhood, his parents died young. The only person who'd always been there for him, the one he treasured most, was Bailey Xiao. Now hearing that she'd been defiled, Chu Yang felt like he was going insane. His mind was filled with images of the smiling girl from his memories. And Sunshine Village, that was his real home. The Heavenly Sword Sect, his master, Yu Bewley. He hadn't been there long, but it was still his sect. "You bastard! You'll die horribly," Chu Yang shouted, charging blindly at Su Zimo. At that moment, Su Zimo lay on the ground, completely weakened. "Stop!" A furious voice roared from the sky. A colossal palm descended from the heavens, instantly pinning Chu Yang in place. The third Grand Elder stood in mid-air, frowning at the scene on the stage. Logically, Su Zimo, having fused with the first battle body, shouldn't have been hurt so badly by a single punch, not to the point of vomiting blood for minutes and ending up this weak. You Yin Yang sect people already admitted defeat, and still you sneak attacked our disciple. According to the rules, I can strike him down on the spot, the third Grand Elder said coldly, staring at Chu Yang. Please, Grand Elder, calm down. The boy is young and impulsive. Wu Shaoqing quickly stepped forward, shielding Chu Yang and smiling. I offer my sincerest apology. We'll cover all of Nephew Zimo's medical expenses. And if he has any other requests, we will do our best to fulfill them. Chapter 144, What a Father Does for You. I want him dead, Su Zimo said, pointing at Chu Yang. That might not be possible, Wu Shaoqing replied, her expression a bit grim. She looked at the third Grand Elder and said, regardless of what happened, Chu Yang is still the holy son of our Yin Yang sect. I hope the third Grand Elder can show some leniency. You may name any terms. If it's within our power, we will do everything we can to fulfill them. Yes, third Grand Elder, Xiao Ruoxuan sighed from the side before speaking. Our sacred ground has always had a good relationship with the Yin Yang sect. There's no need to let things escalate like this. Besides, young people are bound to be impulsive. Let him apologize. As long as he isn't killed, even if he's left half dead, it'll be enough. Hearing Xiao Ruoxuan's words, the third Grand Elder hesitated. Let him go. A voice suddenly rang out. It was Su Qingshan, who had stood up from below the arena. He spoke calmly. Vice Lord Su, isn't that a bit much? This was just youthful recklessness, Wu Shaoqing said with a slight change in expression. Without rules, there is no order. If rules are established, then they must be followed, Su Qingshan said plainly. If the rules lack authority, then no one will respect them. This competition is hosted by our true martial sacred ground. Are you trying to slap us in the face? I wouldn't dare, Wu Shaoqing quickly responded. If Sect Master Su has any conditions, we'll meet them. Think of it as me buying back Chu Yang's life. We don't need anything. Isn't it laughable? Su Qingshan shook his head. An imperial lineage asking a first-rate sect for favors? This is about the dignity of our sect. It has nothing to do with material things. And if I insist on taking him with me? Wu Shaoqing narrowed her eyes, testing the waters. I won't stop you, Su Qingshan replied. But you'd better think it through. You'll bear the consequences. Fine. I'll take him with me, Wu Shaoqing said solemnly. Whatever the consequences, I will shoulder them. I only ask that Vice Lord Su doesn't drag the innocent into this. Su Qingshan didn't reply. His back remained turned. Wu Shaoqing's hands glowed with black and white light, just like when they arrived. The sky split into black and white, and she quickly led the disciples of the Yinyang sect away. Third Grand Elder, please help organize the remaining sects, Su Qingshan said calmly. After that, summon all elders at the Empyrean Meridian realm to the discussion hall. Yes. The third Grand Elder nodded and began handling the other sects. Xiao Ruoxuan looked like she wanted to speak, but after hesitating, she said, Vice Lord, we really don't need to go this far with the Yinyang sect. Whatever it is, say it in the discussion hall. Su Qingshan waved her off and cut her short. Then he walked over to Su Zimo. His face softened into a faint smile. Stop pretending, you little brat. You think I didn't see through you? Su Zimo smiled and quickly stood up. Su Qingshan gave him a glare, then sighed and said slowly, Zimo, I've always felt guilty about your mother in this life. Back then, I was obsessed with cultivation and never really cared for her feelings. After Sacred Lord Xiao left and passed leadership to me, I started doing everything for the sake of the true martial sacred ground. He paused for a moment, then continued, But this time what I did for you. I just hope you understand one thing. I'm not only the sect master of the true martial sacred ground, I'm also your father. Dad, what are you planning? Su Zimo asked. Destroy the Yinyang sect. Just 5 words, but they were filled with overwhelming killing intent. Su Zimo watched his father's retreating figure and remained silent for a long time. Back at the Yinyang sect, elders were already tending to Chu Yang's injuries. Wu Shaoqing gathered all the core elders and recounted everything that had happened. The Grand Elder sighed and shook his head, saying, Sect Master, you acted recklessly. There's no need to antagonize the true martial sacred ground over one disciple. Many of the elders below began discussing the matter. Most of them agreed with the Grand Elder. There are things I've kept quiet for the sake of Chu Yang's safety, Wu Shaoqing said after a pause. But now, since it's come to this, I'll speak plainly. If he were just an ordinary disciple, I wouldn't have gone this far. But when the Yinyang disc encountered Chu Yang, it spun. Just those 3 words, it spun, silenced the entire hall. Every elder looked up at her in shock. I ask that none of you speak of this outside these walls, Wu Shaoqing said. The Yinyang ancestor left the disc behind along with a prophecy. When it spins on its own, it means the person before it is one who carries a supreme destiny. The ancestor once said, if we can board the ship of this destiny, the Yinyang sect has the potential to ascend to an imperial lineage and stand at the peak of this world. Wu Shaoqing's voice grew emotional as she continued. The Purgatory Sacred Ground used to be a sect just like ours. First-rate, but they seized their opportunity. When Grand Emperor Lien Yu shouldered the heaven's will, they advanced to an imperial lineage. And thanks to his foundation, they even raised another emperor, Grand Emperor Sha. 1 lineage, 2 emperors. But us? The Yinyang sect has existed for thousands of years and is slowly fading into obscurity. Are you all really content with that? What about the true martial sacred ground? The Grand Elder asked. We fight if we have to. The fiery-tempered Second Elder snorted. The Western region is a chaotic place. Do you really think they'll risk going all out against us? Enough arguing, Wu Shaoqing said calmly. If they come to hold us accountable, I'm willing to sacrifice myself for the sake of the sect. All I want is for our sect to shine brightly in this era, to fulfill the lifelong wish I've carried.
Chapter 145, Invading Yinyang Sect.
Upon hearing Wu Shaoqing's words, the elders present all fell silent. In the council hall of the true martial sacred ground, all the elders at the Empyrean Meridian realm except for a few who were away, had gathered. Su Qingshan sat at the head of the table, his gaze deep and calm as he said, "The reason I've called you all here today is to discuss how to destroy the Yin-Yang sect. If anyone has a good strategy, speak now." As soon as he finished speaking, Xiao Ruoxuan stood up and quickly said, "Vice Lord, I don't think we need to escalate this. Our sects had a fairly good relationship before all this." "I agree. There's no need to start a war with the Yin-Yang sect," the Grand Elder added. "The Western region has finally enjoyed a few centuries of peace. Now is not the time to throw it into chaos. Yes, the Yin-Yang sect may not match us, but they still have some strength." "I think some of you still haven't understood something," Su Qingshan said coldly, sweeping his gaze across the room. "I didn't bring you here to ask whether we should destroy the Yin-Yang sect. I brought you here to discuss how to destroy it. Wiping out the Yin-Yang sect is an order. I will not tolerate any opposition. I am the leader of the true martial sacred ground. My word is law. If anyone is unhappy, go report me to the Elder Council. But right now I will not hear dissent. If anyone defies this order in action, I will strip them of their Grand Elder status." The room went quiet. Everyone understood that Su Qingshan's mind was made up. There would be no compromise this time. "Vice Lord, to wipe out the Yin-Yang sect, we may not have enough strength ourselves," the fourth Grand Elder said. "We may need to awaken the Supreme Elder. But doing so would drain his lifespan heavily. I urge you to reconsider." Before he even finished, the fifth Elder stepped forward and said, "I actually know someone. If he's willing to help, we might not need to disturb the Supreme Elder at all." "Who?" Su Qingshan asked with interest. "The Sword Sage Ayahan, the proud and cold," the fifth Elder replied. At the mention of this name, long-buried memories surfaced in many minds. "If May Ayahan is willing to act, it's very possible we could annihilate the Yin-Yang sect," the third Elder said after a pause. "But he lives in seclusion on 100 Flowers Peak and hasn't appeared in years. Who knows if he'll agree?" "Leave that to me," Su Qingshan said. "Everyone else prepare. In 3 days we march on the Yin-Yang sect." The name May Ayahan was little known within the true martial sacred ground, because he had lived in seclusion on 100 Flowers Peak and never made a public appearance. Technically, May Ayahan was not even a member of the sacred ground. Back in the day, he had been a peak Empyrean Meridian realm powerhouse, his proud snow sword art famous across the continent. But his arrogant and domineering nature made him many enemies. One day, those enemies banded together to ambush him. Over 10 Empyrean Meridian experts attacked at once. Even though May Ayahan managed to fight his way out through sheer strength, he was seriously injured. At that time, Su Qingshan had just taken over as Vice Lord. The previous leader had stepped down to pursue enlightenment and worldly experiences to reach the God Meridian realm. Before leaving, Sacred Lord Xiao left her daughter, Xiao Zixian, in the sect. While out exploring, Xiao Zixian stumbled upon the injured May Ayahan. The story may sound dramatic, but that's how it happened. She saved his life, and during his recovery, the two fell in love. Once healed, May Ayahan gave up his path of martial cultivation to live in seclusion with Xiao Zixian on 100 Flowers Peak. Since then, they had remained hidden from the world. Su Qingshan made a personal trip to 100 Flowers Peak. No one knew what was said between them. But in those 3 days, while the disciples of the true martial sacred ground felt little change, the elders sensed the tension in the air. A storm was coming. And just like that, the 3 days passed in a flash. The morning sunlight bathed the sky in golden hues. The early autumn breeze whispered through the trees. Within the Yin-Yang sect, everything was business as usual. Some disciples practiced combat techniques, others cultivated their inner energy, and some trained with boulders strapped to their backs. Suddenly, boom! A thunderous explosion shattered the peace above the sect. It was like lightning had cracked open the sky. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. All heads turned upward, where over 100 figures stood in the air above the clouds. Each figure radiated spirit force, their auras surging, filling the heavens with overwhelming might. They floated high above like gods of legend, looking down indifferently at the disciples below, mere ants in their eyes. Many disciples gulped in fear. There were over 100 of them, and each one had revealed their true fate. To display one's true fate, one had to be at least in the Imperial Meridian realm, and among these figures, more than a dozen felt even more profound and terrifying. "Are those Empyrean Meridian realm experts?" a disciple whispered in disbelief. Over a dozen Empyrean Meridian experts. More than 100 Imperial Meridian experts. Are they going to tear the sky apart? Where is the sect master of the Yinyang sect, Wu Shaoqing? A thunderous voice rang out from the sky. The voice carried spiritual power, echoing across the entire sect. Wu Shaoqing quickly appeared with a group of elders, rising into the sky to face the army from the true martial sacred ground. "Do you really want to go down this path of mutual destruction, Vice Lord Su?" Wu Shaoqing asked bitterly. "After today, there will be no more Yinyang sect." Su Qingshan stood at the front, his green robe fluttering in the wind. His tone was icy and indifferent. "We have no desire to fight the true martial sacred ground." Wu Shaoqing shook her head. "This is all my fault. I am willing to take my own life before the sect gate. I only ask that you spare the innocent." With those words, she drew a powerful universe-grade sword. Her long hair floated in the wind. She looked toward the true martial sacred ground, waiting for Su Qingshan's reply. "This happened because of me. If someone must die, it should be me." A voice interrupted. Chu Yang emerged from within the sect. His slender frame tilted slightly as he looked up at the vast sky. His face was pale, but his eyes were resolute. "Why did you come out?" Wu Shaoqing's face changed. She snapped, "Go back! Sect Master Wu, I've lived my life only seeking a clear conscience." Chu Yang looked at her and said firmly, "If you die for me while I crawl away in shame, I'll carry that guilt for the rest of my life. I do not fear death." Chapter 146, God Meridian Realm. Su Qingshan interrupted the argument between Wu Shaoqing and Chu Yang, speaking calmly. "There's no need for debate. Today, everyone in the Yinyang sect must die." "Why?" "This matter has nothing to do with the Yinyang sect," Wu Shaoqing said urgently. "If I kill you, everyone in the Yinyang sect will resent me," Su Qingshan replied indifferently. "Maybe they're too weak now to act on that resentment. But who knows? If they become strong one day, they may never forget what we did here today. Don't be foolish. From the moment we arrived, the Yinyang sect was already doomed. We don't act lightly, but once we do, we ensure nothing survives. No loose ends. No future threats." Hearing this, the second elder of the Yinyang sect roared in fury. "If you're truly going to exterminate us, then don't expect us to go quietly. Even in death, I'll take a few of you down with me. Go ahead, try it." Wu Shaoqing stared intently at Su Qingshan for a long time. Eventually, she took a deep breath and said with firm resolve, "Open the ancestral coffins." At her command, 6 dust-blood coffins were swiftly brought out. The true martial sacred ground didn't interfere, simply watching as the coffins were slowly opened. The Empyrean Meridian realm experts of the Yinyang sect numbered only 6, while the true martial sacred ground had over a dozen. Without opening the ancestral coffins, they stood no chance. As 5 of the coffins were opened, white mist rolled across the skies. 5 powerful figures emerged from within. "Look, that's Elder Metal Sage, our former sect master," a longtime disciple exclaimed in shock. "Not just Metal Sage, the Wood Sage, Earth Sage, Fire Sage, and Water Sage are all here too," someone shouted. The disciples screamed in excitement. To see these legendary forebears in the flesh overwhelmed them with emotion. And as the 5 black coffins opened, the 6th, unlike the rest, revealed itself in black and white. When the final coffin fully opened, a faint sigh echoed out. From within stepped a gaunt old man dressed in a Yinyang duality robe. His face was lined with deep furrows, carved by the passage of time. But his eyes gleamed with sharp light, and his aura towered into the sky. Clearly, this was no ordinary elder. Ancestor, I am Wu Shaoqing, the 9th-generation sect master of the Yinyang sect, she said respectfully, stepping forward with the elders to greet him. She quickly explained the situation. All eyes turned toward the black and white-robed elder, awaiting his judgment. This man was none other than the founder of the Yinyang sect, the Yinyang ancestor. Is there truly no room for negotiation? The Yinyang ancestor asked Su Qingshan calmly. Not until you're all dead, Su Qingshan replied. Then we fight, the ancestor said, his voice calm but firm. Yinyang energy surged from his body. He whispered to Wu Shaoqing. When the battle begins, we'll hold them off. Take the child of destiny and escape. As long as the child of destiny lives, the Yinyang sect will never truly be destroyed. Wu Shaoqing hesitated, then finally nodded with determination. All around the Yinyang sect, many other sects had received news and now watched from the shadows. The Yinyang ancestor stepped forward, his aura erupting like a storm. With a loud series of cracks, 8 meridian gates burst open. Spring Wheel, Deep Bone, Dawn Wind, Vast Sea, Blood Veil, Duskpine, Void Verge, Shadow Bearer. As all 8 gates opened simultaneously, the terrifying pressure of the God Meridian realm swept across the heavens. He raised his Yinyang sword, pointing it at the true martial sacred ground. Behind him, a Taiji diagram appeared. This was his true fate. As it manifested, the entire sky reflected black and white. From the shadows, observers whispered in awe, "The Yinyang ancestor. He's reached the God Meridian realm? Why is that surprising?" Someone replied. He was once a contender for heaven's will, many eras ago. Reaching God Meridian is expected. As his aura spread through the sky, snowflakes began to fall, each one shaped like a sword, drifting down over the world. A bitter, icy chill blanketed the heavens. Then, a figure emerged from the void, walking through the storm with sword in hand. His long hair flowed behind him. He wore pristine white, cold and proud like snow itself. More terrifying still, he too had opened all 8 meridian gates. With every step he took, the murderous aura in the air thickened. Maeahan walked out of the snowstorm. He raised his sword and slashed. Tens of thousands of snowflakes descended, coating the land. From the heavens, a boundless radiance of ice swept across the sky. The Yinyang ancestor raised his sword as well, black and white Yinyang energy dividing the sky, splitting it in two. Their swords clashed. A storm of unimaginable force exploded outward. The very fabric of space was shredded. A massive vortex formed between the two blades. Both men staggered back several steps. The Yinyang ancestor's expression turned grim, and he sighed, "I've grown old. New talents always rise with the changing tide." "I'm no talent," Maeahan replied quietly. "Just a man who gave up the path of martial cultivation." Once, at the peak of the Empyrean Meridian realm, he had been bold and ambitious, challenging every major sect on his own. Through countless battles, he sharpened his swordsmanship and deepened his martial spirit. But everything changed when he met Xiao Zixian. He fell in love and gave it all up, choosing instead a quiet, content life by her side. The path of martial cultivation is long, treacherous, and uncertain. Death may strike at any step. And even if you reach the summit, so what? If the ones you love are gone, everything becomes meaningless. Maeahan and the Yinyang ancestor clashed again. Their duel wasn't flashy, just sword to sword, raw and direct. But even those simple strikes shook the heavens. The world trembled. The sky tore apart. Thunderous booms echoed through the realm. It was as if heaven itself had been ripped open. Clouds surged, and the sky fractured into countless cracks. Meanwhile, the true martial sacred ground launched their assault, giving the Yinyang sect no time to breathe. Dozens of Empyrean Meridian experts clashed in a brutal melee. Thanks to the opened ancestral coffins, the Yinyang sect just barely held their own in this high-tier battlefield. But against the onslaught of over 100 Imperial Meridian realm cultivators, the Yin-Yang sect's lower-tier forces quickly began to falter. Chapter 147 Martial God Sword. As the battle raged on both sides, neither Wu Shaoqing nor Su Qingshan had yet joined the fight. They stood silently, watching their sects engulfed in chaos. Cracks spread across the land, and countless buildings collapsed. Countless disciples had already perished. Wu Shaoqing sighed and met Su Qingshan's gaze across the battlefield. As the scope of the battle expanded, all eyes across the western region turned toward this conflict. More and more people gathered to watch. Some were rogue cultivators, others were elders from different sects. At that moment, Su Zimo also arrived at the edge of the battlefield. He gazed into the distance. Half of the Yin-Yang sect had already been reduced to ruins. Chu Yang stood behind Wu Shaoqing. "I'll hold off Su Qingshan," she whispered. "Once no one's watching you, run. Get out of here." Chu Yang was silent for a moment. Then he lifted his head, eyes sharp. "Sect Master, let me stay. I'm not afraid of dying. All of these people are dying for you. Do you want their deaths to be in vain?" Wu Shaoqing took a deep breath and said, "I don't know if the Yin-Yang disc left behind by our ancestor is accurate, but when I stood beneath the arena and watched you, even when you were repeatedly defeated by Su Zimo, even when you were beaten to the ground over and over, you never gave up. Not even death could shake you or make you retreat. That was the moment I understood. It wasn't the Yin-Yang disc that made me believe in you. It was your unshakable Tao heart." Chu Yang was silent again. "I believe in you, kid. You should believe in yourself too." Wu Shaoqing smiled and patted him on the shoulder, then rose into the sky and charged toward Su Qingshan. Empyrean Meridian realm pressure erupted around her. 7 of her Meridian gates opened, and for a moment, half the sky behind her collapsed. "Little Yang," came the voice of the Lord of Samsara from within Chu Yang's ring. "Soon I'll lend you my strength. Use the chaos to escape." "Master," Chu Yang said bitterly, "I was a coward once back at the Heavenly Sword Sect. Must I make the same choice again?" "The weak have no right to choose," the elder replied. "If you can't understand that, you'll never become strong." Up in the heavens, the Yin-Yang diagram manifested behind Wu Shaoqing. Her white robe fluttered in the wind, and her long black hair trailed behind her. Su Qingshan looked at her calmly. A long sword appeared in his hand, and the moment it did, a surge of sword energy tore through the air. He held the sword, his gaze deep. With just a flick of the blade, the sky split in two. "The martial god sword." Wu Shaoqing's pupils shrank. Her voice turned cautious. The martial god sword was a Grand Emperor true treasure left behind by Grand Emperor Jinwu when he ascended to the higher plane. The moment Su Qingshan held it, endless sword energy coiled around him. His green robe flapped violently in the wind. With a single slash, the Yin-Yang diagram behind Wu Shaoqing was cleaved in half. Wu Shaoqing staggered back 3 steps and coughed up a mouthful of blood. She glared at Su Qingshan, and her aura surged once more as she charged again. Su Qingshan sneered and stepped forward, each movement like a crashing wave of force. He hadn't even revealed his true fate, yet the sea of sword energy around him moved like his own limbs, fluid and deadly. The sky shattered and mended again and again in an endless loop. After only a few exchanges, Wu Shaoqing was already gravely wounded. The martial god sword sliced through the still heavens, its indomitable energy cutting both of Wu Shaoqing's arms clean off. "The true martial sacred ground has been dormant too long," Su Qingshan said indifferently. "The world may have forgotten that before Grand Emperor Sandao shouldered the heaven's will, he once challenged 8 imperial lineages alone. Starting with your Yin-Yang sect today, we may not reclaim our ancestors' former glory, but we are not a power to be provoked by the likes of you." His voice echoed across the skies, speaking not just to Wu Shaoqing, but also to everyone secretly observing from the shadows. Wu Shaoqing, her arms severed, began to gather spirit force. A white mist surrounded her wounds. Before long, new arms grew from her shoulders. This was the terrifying regeneration ability of the Empyrean Meridian realm. As long as one wasn't obliterated completely, Even lost limbs could be regrown. Of course, regrowing arms required a tremendous amount of blood energy. Wu Shaoqing's face had turned deathly pale. Elsewhere, the battle between the Yinyang ancestor and Mei Ayahan had paused. Mei Ayahan's white robe was in tatters, and he looked quite battered. But the Yinyang ancestor was no better. His face was pale, his blood energy nearly gone. Though he was a God Meridian realm expert, he was also a being from several eras past. Without the dust-blood coffins sustaining him, he wouldn't have survived this long. Every battle consumed massive amounts of his life force. When that was gone, his time would be up. "Ancestor, are you all right?" Wu Shaoqing asked, worried. "Don't worry." The old man shook his head. His gaze turned distant. "Everyone dies. The only difference is whether they die unknown or remembered. I don't care about fame or obscurity, feathers or mountains. All I ask is to remain true to myself, true to you, true to the sect I built with my own hands." "There's no point in hiding anything now," the ancestor said calmly. As soon as he finished, spirit force exploded from his body. A vast and overwhelming aura surged out from him. His once gray hair fell away in clumps. His face lost all color, and his skin shriveled against his bones. This already aged man began to visibly age further, minute by minute. The light vanished from his eyes. It was as if every last ounce of his power had been drained. "Ancestor, what are you doing?" Wu Shaoqing shouted in alarm. The old man smiled and shook his head. In his palm, a single drop of blood appeared, condensed from the majority of his remaining life force, his essence blood. Behind him, the yin-yang diagram manifested once again. With a flick of his right hand, a six-pointed star array appeared before him. Suddenly, the ground beneath the yin-yang sect began to rumble violently. Boom, boom, boom. Explosions echoed from deep underground. A massive crack tore through the earth and continued to grow. A beastly roar rang out from the depths, as if some terrifying creature was about to be born. Then, beams of light erupted from the ground of the yin-yang sect, piercing the heavens. A six-pointed star formation projected into the sky, each of the 6 beams dazzling with brilliance, illuminating all of heaven and earth. Chapter 148 God-Beast Chaos. As the 6-pointed star appeared, everyone saw a monstrous beast struggling at its center. 6 beams of light had transformed into chains, binding the creature tightly. This beast looked bizarre. Its shape resembled a massive celestial hound, enlarged countless times, but its body was abnormally bloated. Its entire form was blood red, and it had 2 pairs of enormous wings that blotted out the sky. The moment the beast emerged, an overwhelming beastly pressure swept across the land. Within 100 miles, every beast sensing this aura dropped to the ground, trembling in submission. Everyone's expressions changed as they looked at the beast. Su Qingshan's gaze locked onto the yin-yang ancestor as he said grimly, "A primordial beast." "That's right," the yin-yang ancestor replied. "Look closer. It's somewhat tied to your true martial sacred ground." Su Qingshan froze for a moment. Then, as if recalling something, his pupils contracted, and he spoke word by word, "Chaos God Beast. The one that escaped from the hands of Grand Emperor Jinwu." Su Qingshan took a deep breath and looked at the yin-yang ancestor. "You've got guts, hiding a primordial god beast in secret. Are you trying to declare war on all of humanity in the primordial heartlands?" Back in the day, Grand Emperor Jinwu had battled the 10 god beasts and eventually killed 9, forming the blood demon hidden realm. The only one that escaped was the god beast now before them, Chaos. In human culture, beasts are generally divided into 2 types. During the Desolate Era, beasts ruled everything. Humanity was merely their food. Thus, while people tolerate ordinary beasts, they hold deep hatred for primordial ones. "I never intended to go against humanity," the yin-yang ancestor said calmly. "When I captured this severely injured beast, it was only to comprehend the Tao of primordial chaos. Of course, if you want to twist that and paint me as a villain for the ages, I couldn't care less. Now that my sect has come to this Things like reputation and the opinions of others don't really anymore, do they? As he spoke, the drop of essence blood in his palm turned into light and fell onto the six-pointed star formation. In an instant, the 6 beams of light became even more dazzling. The chains that had formed from the light began to retract. Without the array's suppression, Chaos threw its head back and let out a thunderous roar. Its bronze bull-like eyes locked onto the Yin-Yang ancestor. Its strength began to recover rapidly as the binding faded, and its beastly aura surged wildly. At that moment, its presence overshadowed everyone present. "You needn't hate me," the ancestor said plainly. "Even though I imprisoned you for so long, I never harmed you. Look up there, those people are descendants of Grand Emperor Zhenwu. It was their ancestors who destroyed your glorious rule in the desolate era." Chaos roared in fury, turning to glare hatefully at the true martial sacred ground. "You're not running? Fine. Let me destroy them first. Then I'll settle the score with you," Chaos growled. With that, its massive form lunged toward Mei Ayahan. Mei Ayahan raised his sword to block, but was slapped away with a single swipe. "Now's the moment. Take Chuyang and run," the Yin-Yang ancestor shouted to Wu Shaoqing. His face was pale. Having used most of his essence blood to break the formation, his strength was nearly depleted. Wu Shaoqing nodded, grabbed Chuyang by the arm, and soared into the sky, fleeing at full speed.
Su King Sang Sner.
The martial god's sword slashed through space and appeared directly in front of her, blocking her path. At the same time, several Imperial Meridian Realm experts from the true martial sacred ground surrounded them. Elsewhere, the god-beast Chaos was still locked in combat with Mei Ayahan, completely unable to focus on anything else. "I can only help you this far, fate will do the rest." Wu Shaoqing sighed and released Chuyang, turning back to fight Su Qingshan. She no longer had the strength to deal with the Imperial Meridian experts nearby. "Xiao Yangzi, calm your mind. Accept my power," came the urgent voice of the Lord of Samsara from Chu Yang's ring. Chuyang nodded and closed his eyes. As the surrounding experts rushed toward him, suddenly, a vast aura burst from Chu Yang's body. Samsara force enveloped him completely. In the past, his body and cultivation had been too weak to contain much of the Lord of Samsara's power. But now, having condensed his true fate, Chu Yang's strength had grown. He could now withstand the full might of the old man, at least for a short time. As that power surged through him, a massive multicolored reincarnation vortex appeared around his body. Winds howled and whipped his hair through the air. His aura surged skyward, piercing the clouds. Chuyang lifted his right hand and gently waved. The nearby Imperial Meridian elders were blasted away. He stood atop the wheel of reincarnation, invincible in presence. All eyes were drawn to him, even Chaos paused, its gaze flickering uncertainly as it looked his way. "I, Chuyang, swear this. One day I shall return and annihilate the true martial sacred ground." "He's declaring war. That's a direct challenge to an imperial lineage sect," the spectators whispered. Despite his thin frame, Chu Yang's voice was unwavering. His words rang with unshakable resolve. After speaking, he turned to take one last, long look at everyone in the Yin-Yang sect, then soared into the sky and vanished. He could not save them. The Lord of Samsara's power wouldn't last much longer. Oh! On the banks of the Willow River, an elder from the true martial sacred ground sat quietly at a fishing platform. 3,000 golden carp leapt from the water. A distant breeze carried threads of golden light. Suddenly, a dragon's roar echoed through the air. The carp knocked against their life gates, transforming into golden dragons that soared into the heavens like shooting stars. The elders' deep eyes turned toward the horizon. In their cloudy depths, it was as if the voice of the Grand Tao was speaking, transcending time and space to reach across 10,000 miles. The old man took a single step and vanished from the edge of the world. Oh! Chuyang soared through the sky. A spatial gate opened before him, and he prepared to escape. But then, an immense, boundless presence descended. Time and space froze in that instant. A gray-robed elder had appeared atop the heavens, though no one saw how or when. With just a glance from this elder, everyone's hearts trembled as if struck by thunder. All hail Sky Shroud Ancestor! The true martial sacred ground disciples called out in unison, led by Su Qingshan. You're still alive, Sky Shroud! Chaos roared in panic, its expression twisted in shock.
Chapter 149, Chu Yang Es Fate.
You're still alive too, you old mudfish, the old man said with a faint smile. Then he casually extended his right hand. With just a light tap of his index finger in the air, endless spirit force gathered at its tip, and space itself shattered beneath that single point of pressure. Chaos felt a crushing, unstoppable force descend upon it. Even moving a muscle became incredibly difficult. You've broken through to that realm, Chaos asked, its voice trembling with fear. Don't be so surprised. It's not a big deal, the old man replied, shaking his head. All beneath Grand Emperor are but ants. He then waved his right hand lightly, and boundless spirit force transformed into countless chains, instantly binding everyone from the Yin-Yang sect, including Chu Yang. The old man looked at Chu Yang and let out a soft hum of interest. What a powerful soul, rare to see in this world. Feeling the oppressive force bearing down on him, Chu Yang exhaled deeply and said quietly, Master, if you have a chance to escape, don't worry about me. Just go. It is my failure that I am powerless. The Lord of Samsara replied in a pained voice. No, Master. One of the greatest blessings in my life was meeting you, Chu Yang said, eyes full of love and sincerity. There's something I've buried in my heart that I never dared say aloud. I was an orphan from birth. In truth, I've always seen you as my father. And now, knowing I won't survive, please allow me to call you father just once. Younger, my dear child, rest assured. I swear to you, one day, no matter the cost, I will avenge you. I will crush the true martial sacred ground. That day will come, the Lord of Samsara vowed. Goodbye, my dear father, Chu Yang whispered, closing his eyes. At that moment, the energy around him slowly faded, and a shadow burst forth from his body. How interesting, the old man said with a smile. He waved his hand, and a torrent of spirit force surged toward the Lord of Samsara. But the elder roared, Back in my prime, why would I fear you? An insect like you, I could crush into dust. If I choose to leave today, not even a Grand Emperor could stop me. Endless Samsara force flooded the skies. Infinite rebirth, the Lord of Samsara said, closing his eyes. A swirling vortex of reincarnation formed around his soul. The vortex was deep and vast. One glance into it felt like it would suck your very soul inside. The Lord of Samsara's soul was drawn into the vortex, and then he was gone. For every cultivator who walks the Tao of Samsara, they have one chance in life to forcibly enter the cycle of reincarnation. This is the ultimate act on that path, a supreme rule bestowed by the river of fate itself. Even a Grand Emperor cannot alter it. Generally, cultivators do not use this chance unless they face certain death. It is akin to rebirth but comes with extreme risks. Life and death are equal possibilities. If you fall into the path of death, you permanently die. If you enter the path of life, you lose all your cultivation, and your memories may not remain. Worse still, your next form might not even be human. You could be reborn as a bird, beast, insect, or plant. Anything in the world is possible. You cannot control your reincarnated body. Interesting indeed, the Sky Shroud Ancestor murmured as he watched the Lord of Samsara disappear. He shook his head with a faint smile. Then, turning to Su Qingshan, he said, The rest is yours to handle. With that, Sky Shroud Ancestor vanished without a trace, as though he had never existed at all. Everyone watching from the shadows trembled with fear. The true martial sacred ground had been dormant for centuries. Most had only heard tales of their power, but no one had truly grasped it, until now. Witnessing that old man effortlessly suppress an entire supreme sect, someone finally asked in a hushed voice, Who Who was that senior just now? You've never heard of Sky Shroud Ancestor, the war god? Someone replied. He was once the #1 battle general under Grand Emperor Jinwu. It's said he even competed for heaven's will with the Grand Emperor himself, but was ultimately moved by the Grand Emperor's vision to establish a golden age for humanity and stand alone against the ancient beasts of the desolate era. In the end, Sky Shroud Ancestor submitted and followed the Grand Emperor into the stars. Su Qingshan looked at the Yinyang sect cultivators still bound by spiritual chains and turned to Su Zimo. Zimo, come here. I told you before, everything I've done today is for you. Now, these people, you may deal with them however you like. I don't need anyone else, Su Zimo replied. I only want him. He walked toward Chu Yang, slowly unsheathing Shadow Tyrant, his blade. His gaze locked on Chu Yang. At that moment, Bailey Xiao suddenly rushed forward and threw herself in front of Su Zimo, pleading, Please, don't kill him. I beg you. Please, please, please. Seeing her grief-stricken face, Su Zimo smiled. He gently stroked her cheek and said, Silly girl, don't worry. Death is just a release. Living is the real pain. Oh, are you in pain now? Watching the one you love die right in front of you, isn't that a pain far worse than death? Bailey Xiao shook her head desperately, then turned to Su Qingshan and knelt, slamming her head into the ground over and over, bloodying the earth. Vice Lord, please, I beg you, spare him. You think I can tolerate this any longer? Su Qingshan said coldly. Back in Sunshine Village, the sect shielded you from the Immortal Spirit sect. During the competition, 6th Grand Elder violated the rules and interfered. I said nothing. Now you think that just because you inherited the Grand Empress legacy, you can do whatever you want. He laughed bitterly. Fine. If you love him so much, I'll revoke your status as the Grand Empress successor and kill you both together. Sect Master, Shower is just a child. 6th Grand Elder hurried to interject. Enough.
Su Qingshan bác cười.
I've yet to deal with you for breaking the rules. As one of the 7 Grand Elders, you violated the law. The disciplinary hall will handle you. He waved his hand, ready to strip Bailey Xiao of her soaring immortal physique. Vice Lord Su, wait! A booming voice echoed from the sky. 2 powerful figures descended, both Empyrean Meridian Realm experts, their 7 Meridian gates wide open. Su Qingshan frowned slightly as one of the men stepped forward. I am Bailey Chengfeng, Patriarch of the Bailey clan of the Eastern Continent. Su Qingshan blinked and looked at Bailey Xiao. The pieces clicked into place. She is my daughter, Bailey Chengfeng sighed. In the past, due to complicated political pressures, I couldn't bring her home. Now that everything is settled, I've come to retrieve her. Please, allow me the mercy of a father's plea. We will return the Grand Empress legacy to the sacred ground. I only ask that you let me take her away. Su Qingshan replied, Their lives are in Zimo's hands. If he agrees, I will not interfere. The Bailey clan, located in the Eastern Continent's core, had once produced a Grand Emperor, Bailey Chongkong, known by his imperial title, Grand Emperor Chongkong. Though not as mighty as the true martial sacred ground with its 4 Grand Emperors, their power was still formidable. What does young Lord Su think? Any terms, just say the word, Bailey Chengfeng said. I'll spare her, Su Zimo replied. But I want something, a chance to enter the Bailey clan's forbidden land, the Heaven Genesis microcosm. Bailey Chengfeng frowned. That land is guarded by the clan's elders. I cannot authorize that. Then never mind, Su Zimo shrugged. You can collect your daughter's corpse later. Bailey Chengfeng, 6th Grand Elder Xiao Ruoxuan shouted angrily. It was your cowardice that left my sister to raise a child alone. She died without ever seeing you again. Now you're going to watch your daughter die too? What kind of man are you? Bailey Chengfeng was silent for a long time. Then he sighed deeply and turned to Su Zimo. I accept your condition. Su Zimo nodded, then leaned in close to Bailey Xiao and whispered with a smile. Don't worry, I won't let you die so soon. This is just the beginning. For now, Enjoy the sight of the one you love dying in front of you. Next time, I'll make your father, your clan, everyone you care about, die in front of your eyes. Doesn't that sound beautiful? You're a demon. You're not human. You bastard. Bailey Xiao cried, backing away in terror. Su Zimo simply chuckled and walked to Chu Yang. The two stood face to face. Chu Yang's eyes were clear and firm. Aside from a hint of regret, there was no fear of death. How do you want to die? Su Zimo asked. A quick death. A brutal one. Doesn't matter. Chu Yang smiled calmly. Like the Yinyang ancestor said, some die forgotten. Some are remembered. Whether light as a feather or heavy as a mountain, I just wanted to live meaningfully and die meaningfully. Too bad the heavens didn't agree. But I know fate is often unjust, and life is not fair. Su Zimo said nothing. He slowly raised Shadow Tyrant. Memories rolled through his mind, echoes of the past. He could not help but wonder, why did I even become enemies with Chu Yang in my previous life? In the beginning, Chu Yang had no hostility toward the true martial sacred ground. He knew he was just a simple village boy, and Bailey Xiao was the holy daughter of an imperial lineage. He trained hard day and night only to catch up to her, to be worthy of being with the girl he loved. But when Su Zimo learned of Chu Yang's childhood bond with her, jealousy consumed him, and he sent assassins. That was what forced Chu Yang to walk the path of opposition. He had no choice but to stand against the true martial sacred ground. Was Chu Yang wrong? No. In fact, it was Su Zimo who was wrong. Oh, was I wrong? Su Zimo laughed madly, clutching his face. His grin was twisted. I can't be wrong. If you think I'm wrong, I'll kill you. If they think I'm wrong he pointed at the bound members of the Yinyang sect. I'll kill them all. If the world's morals say I'm wrong, I'll destroy them and make my own rules. If the entire world says I'm wrong, then I'll burn it down. Cannot be wrong. Even if I am, you'll all believe I'm right. That's how I do things. Chu Yang looked at him calmly. He also laughed. In the eternal and never-ending river of time, how many heroes have won? How many villains have lost? Whether they lived a life of glory or defeat, in the end they all died. In life, only death is certain. Su Zimo, you will die too someday. When your time runs out, I'll be there, waiting for you. Good. I look forward to it, Su Zimo replied hoarsely. Then, Shadow Tyrant burst into blinding light as he drove it into Chu Yang's abdomen. Slowly, he lifted the blade upward, trying to split Chu Yang in two. I fear nothing, Chu Yang whispered, eyes steady. So the world itself cannot make me fear. His final glance was toward Bailey Xiao, who had collapsed in tears. They say the dead become stars in the sky, to guard the ones they love. I'll be the brightest one. Shower. I will always love you. His gaze slowly faded away. His life ended in that instant. Su Zimo knew, although he had killed Chu Yang, he could not break his will. He could not break his spirit. He could not break his Dao heart. Chu Yang's unyielding heart and fearless gaze, even in the face of death, had never faltered. Chapter 150 Reckoning. As Chu Yang's body collapsed before them, Bailey Xiao, who had just broken down in grief, suddenly fell silent. If one looked closely, they would see a flicker of madness and hatred burning in her eyes. A strand of primal Yinyang energy, black and white intertwined, flew from Chu Yang's body and tried to escape into the sky. Su Zimo quickly opened his True Fate world and absorbed it. Immediately after, a green-colored pearl rolled out from beside Chu Yang's corpse. Su Zimo picked that up as well.
Bailey Xiao stared blankly at Chu Yang's corpse.
Perhaps it was the calm after the storm, or perhaps the prelude to an even greater one. Her eyes were like still water, dead and empty, as she gazed at him. Bailey Xiao, leave behind the Grand Empress' soaring immortal physique, and you may go with your father, Su Qingshan said calmly from above. All right, I'll give it up, Bailey Xiao replied softly. The next moment, her body began to radiate a blinding white light. Her face twisted in pain. There are two ways to remove a battle physique. It detaches automatically upon the death of the host, or the host forcibly separates it from their own body, a method that causes severe and often permanent damage. The white light around Bailey Xiao grew stronger. Her body trembled uncontrollably, and the pain of forcibly severing the battle physique grew unbearable. She gritted her teeth and collapsed to the ground, refusing to make a single sound. After a long while, she finally passed out from the pain. A silver-white orb shot out from her body. Su Qingshan casually raised his hand and caught it. "Vice Lord Su, if there's nothing else, I'll be taking her away," Bailey Changfeng said quickly from the side. Su Qingshan frowned deeply but nodded. What happened was unfortunate. Let her live well. As Bailey Changfeng took his daughter and departed, the rest of the true martial sacred ground rounded up the remaining members of the Yinyang sect and brought them back to the sacred grounds. Everything the Yinyang sect had accumulated over the past 10,000 years was confiscated by the sacred ground. Only after they had all left did the crowd of onlookers finally step onto the battlefield, hoping to scavenge for anything left behind. No one would have imagined that a supreme sect so powerful and prestigious just moments ago could be completely wiped out in such a short time. The terror of an imperial lineage was now undeniable. News of the incident spread like a spring wind across the entire western region, even reaching the eastern continent. As people marveled at the terrifying might of an imperial lineage, their fear and reverence deepened. The world loves to worship heroes, those who save others, those who rise to glory. Some young cultivator once dreamed of one day single-handedly destroying the Yinyang sect and killing Chu Yang in a glorious, righteous battle. But Su Zimo was no hero, and he didn't possess the hot-blooded zeal of youth. Instead, he used the power of his father to annihilate the Yinyang sect and kill Chu Yang. That was how Su Zimo did things. As long as he achieved his goal, he didn't care what methods he used. Whether people saw him as a terrifying demon lord or a pathetic coward behind a strong back, it didn't matter. Because one day he would be the one setting the rules of this world. Those who followed him would prosper. Those who opposed him would die. After all, it's survival of the fittest. The moment they returned to the true martial sacred ground, all disciples were summoned to the main assembly hall. When Su Zimo arrived, he saw a pure white coffin placed at the highest seat. The aura radiating from the coffin weighed heavily on everyone present. What does Soaring Goose Ancestor wish to discuss? Su Qingshan stepped forward and asked. Soaring Goose Ancestor had been a war general during Grand Empress Hongtian's era, and was now one of the oldest surviving figures in the sect. She had not emerged from her dust-blood coffin, as those near the end of their lifespans consume vast amounts of life force each time they wake. "I heard you stripped the Grand Empress successor of her legacy?" A calm voice came from within the coffin. "I did," Su Qingshan replied after exchanging glances with the Grand Elder. "You stupid buffoon! Do you understand her identity?" The voice from the coffin carried a hint of irritation. "What gives you the right to remove the Grand Empress legacy? Doesn't the Grand Empress successor belong to the true martial sacred ground?" Su Qingshan replied firmly. "If she's one of us, then as acting sacred lord, I absolutely have the right to govern her." "You fool, she is no ordinary person," the voice said after a pause. "Train her well, and she might be this generation's bearer of heaven's will." "I gave her chances, because she was the Grand Empress heir," Su Qingshan said. "But she didn't know her limits. Even the Grand Empress successor can't act with impunity." "There are things I cannot say yet." Soaring Goose Ancestor's voice softened slightly. "But you've thrown away the Grand Empress' carefully laid plans. No matter what she becomes, one day she will return to our side. She must. If it comes to that," she added, "perhaps it's best that you step down. Young leaders are too impulsive. Someone like the first Grand Elder are more measured. I am the legitimate Vice Lord and acting Sacred Lord of the true martial sacred ground," Su Qingshan said, frowning. "No one can depose me with mere words. According to the rules, removing a Sacred Lord requires a vote from all 4 ancestors, with at least 3 in agreement. and it must be followed by a sect-wide vote among all disciples. If you truly wish to remove me, I'll contact the other 3 ancestors right now. No need. I'm here already. Just then, a majestic voice echoed through the hall, and a gray-robed elder appeared silently at the highest seat. Everyone in the room bowed immediately. Even Soaring Goose Ancestor showed deference, for this was Sky Shroud Ancestor. Sky Shroud Ancestor had fought alongside Grand Emperor Jin Wu himself, generations before Soaring Goose Ancestor's time. Back when he bore the weight of destiny, Grand Empress Hongtian hadn't even been born yet. Special individuals can receive special treatment. I don't oppose that, Sky Shroud Ancestor said calmly. But everything has a limit. Stripping the Grand Empress successor of her legacy, that was my order. If anyone is unhappy, they can take it up with me. I see. I have no wish to argue with Sky Shroud Ancestor. Soaring Goose Ancestor's cold voice came faintly from the coffin. This matter will settle itself in time. Just one thing, do not target her further. This is an order. If she doesn't defy us, Su Qingshan replied, we won't target her. But if her heart turns against us, we will show no mercy. Chapter 151 Meridian Beast. As Soaring Goose Ancestor's dust-blood coffin departed, Sky Shroud Ancestor turned to Su Qingshan and frowned. Settle this matter quickly. Now is not the time for chaos. I understand. Su Qingshan nodded. On Green Mountain, Su Qingshan looked at Su Zimo and said, you shouldn't have let Bailey Xiao go just for a spot in the Heaven Genesis microcosm. Letting the tiger return to the mountain? Su Zimo chuckled. It doesn't matter. Some people are like birds in a cage. They'll never understand how vast the outside world really is. Trust me. She'll live every day in unbearable torment. Su Qingshan stared deeply at his son and asked, what are your plans now? I'm going to travel a bit, leave the western region, explore the eastern continent's core regions. Maybe I'll make it to the middle continent too, Su Zimo replied with a smile. Training through travel is good. Su Qingshan nodded. Our western region has grown stagnant after all. The world out there is far more exciting. Oh right, your second senior brother, Xiao Fengyu, is also training in the eastern continent. Maybe you'll run into him. Su Zimo smiled and nodded. In a pitch-black space, the furious roars of the god-beast Chaos echoed out as it struggled violently, the sound of iron chains clashing resonating through the void. Sky Shroud, you damned brat! Its voice bellowed. You were the ones who destroyed the glorious desolate era. Even now, you refuse to let us primordial beasts live. Do you wish to relive the glory of the beast folk? A calm voice came from one corner of the darkness. Who's there? Chaos snapped, turning its head. Su Zimo stepped out from the shadows. Oh, it's just you, little brat, Chaos sneered. Just another pathetic, spoiled descendant living under the shade of your ancestors. Isn't that what ancestral legacies are? For us descendants to get spoiled?
Su Yimo smiled.
If you don't make use of what's available, that's the real waste, no? What do you want? Chaos asked warily. I want you to become my Meridian Beast, Su Zimo said with a light smile. Meridian Beast, in every cultivator's life, they may form a contract with one. Like humans, beasts also cultivate by unlocking their meridian gates, breaking their inner limitations. The difference lies in this. Humans open their gates from the inside out, resulting in outwardly visible phenomena each time. Beasts, however, open theirs from the outside in, so their meridian visions occur internally, invisible to outsiders. If a human and a beast's meridians resonate and both parties agree, a contract can be formed. There are 3 types of contracts. But there's a catch. A meridian beast must be either a pure primordial beast or a beast with desolate era bloodline remnants. All beasts born after Grand Emperor Jinwu began the imperial era can no longer resonate with human meridians. Hence, no contract can be formed with them. Because of this rarity, less than 10% of cultivators ever have a meridian beast. Most of those are beasts with traces of ancient bloodlines. A true god beast like Chaos, a pure-blooded primordial beast, is nearly impossible to find. You must be delusional, Chaos roared. Eyes locked on Suzimo. A mere human dares talk this way? You're seeking death. Suzimo smiled and asked, Your desolate era? It was truly glorious, wasn't it? Glorious? Ah, it was more than that. It was a time when 10,000 beasts reigned supreme, Chaos said, its tone softening for a moment. Perhaps for the defeated, past glory is the hardest to let go of. Do you want to restore that glory? Suzimo asked. Chaos stared deeply at him and sneered. Let me guess, you want me to become your meridian beast? Help you claim the heaven's will? And then you'll help me restore the beast race? You think I'll believe such hollow nonsense? Maybe that kind of trick works on naive cubs. No, Suzimo said, smiling. I don't need to claim the heaven's will. Even without it, I can help you revive the beast race. And how would you do that? Chaos asked cautiously, its heart skipping a beat. You, a human, would help beasts? To me, there's no difference between humans and beasts, just bags of flesh and bone, Suzimo said flatly. As long as they're within my rules, beasts can live. Outside of those rules, I'll kill humans just the same. Why should I trust you? Chaos growled. Actually, you don't have a choice, Suzimo replied. You've got two options. 1, refuse and be killed. Die with your pride and your regrets. 2, accept, become my meridian beast. At least then you live, and you'll have my promise. Whether I fulfill it or not, at least you'll have a chance. As he finished speaking, a colorless, formless light emerged from Suzimo's body. Chaos stared, stunned. You? How do you have that? There's nothing impossible in this world. Suzimo smiled. You get one chance. If you miss it, your value to me won't be worth my promise. Fine. I'll agree to become your meridian beast, Chaos said quickly. But only if we form an equal contract. You're not qualified to form an equal contract with me, Suzimo replied coldly. Not because you're unworthy, but because no beast is qualified. You still don't understand your place. If I were you, I'd throw away my so-called pride and dignity. Right now, you should act like a loyal hound, obeying my commands. And maybe, just maybe, if I'm in a good mood, I'll help you. Anyone who clings to pride without strength is the biggest fool of all. Life is about giving up dignity to gain power, and then using that power to reclaim dignity. Think about it. Even if you act like a dog in front of me, if you succeed in reviving the beast race, you'll be like a radiant star among beasts, eternal and untouchable. Chapter 152 Breakthrough to Paragon Meridian Realm. You will become the greatest beast in the history of the beast folk. No matter how times change or how many prodigies rise, when the beasts of the world look back upon history, your name will be forever etched in stone, an immovable, unforgettable chapter. You are destined to leave a bold, unforgettable mark on the vast legacy of your kind. All beasts shall remember that there once was an ancestor who bore the heavens on its back, tread the earth beneath its feet, carried the fate of countless lives in the void, took on the burden of reviving the desolate era alone, braved a path filled with hardship and peril, and in this imperial era dominated by humans and invincible grand emperors, created a brand new era for the beast folk. Its will and radiance shall illuminate eternity. Its name is Chaos. Well said, Chaos bellowed, slamming its massive claw into the ground, causing the pitch-black space to tremble. See? I've even prepared your opening lines. Once you restore the glory of the desolate era, you can craft your own hero's tale however you want. No one will know you once groveled like a lapdog. What the world will remember is the one who saved all beasts from suffering, a being revered alongside heaven, earth, sun, and moon. The pride of the beast race, their great ancestor, Chaos. Fine, I agree. Just hope you keep your word, Chaos said after a long silence, staring at Suzimo. A wise choice, Suzimo smiled. Then Chaos' massive body sat still. A powerful aura of a peak god meridian realm cultivator radiated from it. Its originally internal meridian gates now surfaced outside its body, 8 gates in total, bang bang bang. They opened in sequence. Su Zimo took a deep breath, sat cross-legged, and began synchronizing his own meridian gates with those of chaos. Feeling the pulse and rhythm of the shared meridians, Su Zimo sensed the presence of a contract forming. He could feel chaos thoughts, its will to submit. In the darkness, a boundless light burst forth. A pale blue glow enveloped the entire space. Su Zimo felt a massive surge of power at his meridian gates, nourishing and enhancing his body. In that moment, his realm broke through from peak desolate meridian realm into the Paragon meridian realm. He even broke open his 5th meridian, the Bloodveil Gate, and the surrounding spirit force surged through his body in multiple complete cycles. His bones cracked and popped like firecrackers. Su Zimo slowly opened his eyes. Not only had he broken through his realm, but more importantly, a strange, indescribable connection had formed between him and chaos. It was as if, as long as that thread remained, he could control chaos' life and death at will. Master! Chaos lowered its enormous body, head bowed, respectfully gazing at Su Zimo. Chaos is too clunky of a name, Su Zimo thought aloud. Let me give you a new one. Please name me Master, Chaos replied, voice booming. From now on, you'll be called Little Dumpling. Su Zimo laughed. Master, what part of me is little? Chaos looked down at its massive body, confused. Just sounds catchy. Su Zimo patted its head, which was rather rough and not very comfortable. Then, with a wave of his hands, a dimensional space opened before them. Su Zimo unlocked chaos chains, and the beast stepped into the dimension. Once a cultivator forms a meridian beast contract, they can open a pocket dimension specifically for housing their beast. With chaos handled, Su Zimo left the void. He was now in the Paragon Meridian realm. The next step was the Imperial Meridian realm. But advancing to Imperial Meridian requires one's true fate world to manifest. Su Zimo's true fate world was still incomplete, missing one final piece, primordial black gold energy. Until he perfects his true fate world, he cannot manifest it, and thus cannot advance to Imperial Meridian. Over the next few days, Su Zimo returned to South Goose Mountain to rest. The sacred ground had decided to appoint him as the new generation's holy son, and was preparing a grand investiture ceremony to proclaim it to the world. While preparations continued, Su Zimo planned his departure. He would soon head for the core regions of the eastern continent. During this time, Lin Ruhu was nowhere to be seen, rumored to be out training under the 3rd Grand Elder. Even Yen Buhui came to bid him farewell, sword in hand, off to wander the mortal world and further comprehend his sword path. He left, dressed in fluttering white, carrying the resolve to annihilate the Huang clan of Northwest City. Su Zimo knew then it was time for him to leave too, to head for a brand new, broader world, and then, one by one, crush all the so-called prodigies beneath his feet. That thought stirred something hot and wild in his blood. On the eve of the investiture ceremony, Su Zimo went alone to Nether Dragon Ravine. It was the very place where, in his past life, he had fought Chu Yang and lost. He had fallen into the ravine, and everyone assumed he had perished deep below. But he had survived by a stroke of luck and found some unexpected fortune down there. People often believe only chosen ones receive fortune, but in truth, every strong cultivator has received fortune in some form along the way. Even though the opportunity below Nether Dragon Ravine no longer held the same importance for Su Zimo, it was still a rare and wondrous item. The origins of Nether Dragon Ravine trace back to the start of the Imperial Era. Back then, Grand Emperor Jin Wu, bearing the heaven's will, fought against the beast race led by the 10 god beasts in a brutal, bloody war. The dragon race was sent to attack the south of the true martial sacred ground. In that battle, the entire dragon race was nearly wiped out. Grand Emperor Jin Wu fought the 10 beasts alone. The war god, Sky Shroud, held the southern front alone, and slaughtered nearly the entire dragon race. The annihilation of this ancient race stirred the very laws of heaven to mourn. A tremendous divine force descended in tribute to the dragons. The slain dragon gods, their resentment lingering, fused with the divine force and took on a new, unique form of life in the ravine. This land came under the high heavens' protection, in hopes that one day, a new generation of dragons might be born, that their race might one day rise again. Because of this divine protection, even Grand Emperor Jinwu could not destroy the place. Eventually, the area was designated as a restricted zone of the sect and named Nether Dragon Ravine. Chapter 153, Dragon Tree. Standing at the top of the Nether Dragon Ravine, the entire shape of the terrain looked like a surging, winding dragon. From time to time, faint dragon roars echoed from the depths below. The howling wind cut through the air like blades. Looking down, black and golden mist intertwined, roaring and churning wildly in midair. Spirit force surged around Su Zimo's body. He walked through the air, heading down toward the bottom of the Nether Dragon Ravine. As he descended halfway, a gray mist wrapped around him. Then, his meridian gates opened, and the roar of chaos resounded through the heavens and earth. Su Zimo sat atop chaos, like a swift arrow cutting through the sky, trailing a mighty wave of energy as he shot downward. Sensing an intruder, the black gold mist at the bottom of the Nether Dragon Ravine condensed into several golden dragons and charged at Su Zimo. Majestic draconic might swept across the heavens, causing the surrounding space to tremble. At that moment, chaos let out an angry roar. The sound was piercing and shrill, yet harsh to the ear. Hearing chaos roar, the golden dragons hesitated. They looked at chaos with fear, then dispersed and dissolved into countless mist strands, drifting away. "Master, did you see that?" Chaos said smugly. "Back in the day, they were all under my command. They wouldn't dare act out in front of me."
Su Yimo Chukka.
He looked around. The bottom of the Nether Dragon Ravine was so deep it was impossible to see the end. Aside from the drifting black gold mist, nothing else was visible. In his previous life, he had lost consciousness after falling here and had no clear memory of the surroundings. Chaos carried him for about half an hour before they finally saw the ground. The land was golden, unlike the usual earthy brown. This soil contained powerful energy. It had been dyed gold by the blood of the dragon race. After so many years, the blood hadn't faded. Instead, it had merged into the land. Several withered trees stood nearby, their leaves fallen, branches dried and brittle. The breeze made the scene feel desolate. After walking a few steps, Su Zimo came across a massive skeleton ahead. Although it had been dead for a long time, the dragon's presence still lingered strongly on the bones. The skeleton stretched over 30 meters long. Its flesh had long since rotted away, but the white bones remained incredibly tough. Half an hour later, Su Zimo finally saw a scene familiar from his past life. It was a mountain stream, with faint droplets seeping from the rock walls. Nearby, a crystal-clear river flowed, the sound of water whooshing like pleasant music. At the center of the river stood a lone tree. This was the first living thing Su Zimo had seen since arriving. The water wasn't deep, so Su Zimo walked through the cool stream step by step toward the tree in the center. The tree stood 5 meters tall, completely golden, branches, leaves, and all. Because of the dense mist above, sunlight rarely pierced through. Strangely, though, while the rest of the area lacked sunlight, this tree was bathed in it. Under the golden light, the tree sparkled brilliantly. The most unusual part of the tree was its fruit, which looked a bit like ginseng fruit, resembling translucent amber. On the outside, the fruit was golden, and inside was the silhouette of a small dragon. There were at least 100 such fruits on the tree. "The dragon race is trying to revive its bloodline," Chaos muttered. "These golden fruits strengthen the physical body significantly when eaten," Su Zimo said. "They even imbue spirit force with dragon aura. Definitely a rare treasure. It may not be on the rare treasures list, but with so many wonders in the world, it's certainly on par with those that are." Chaos stared at the fruit for a while before speaking slowly. "These aren't fruits at all. They're lives. Each fruit is a living being." Hearing this, Su Zimo frowned and studied the fruits closely. He didn't sense any signs of life. These baby dragons haven't fully developed yet. Aside from primordial beast races like ours, others can't sense the life within them, Chaos explained. The dragon race has been gone from this world for a long time. Are they really planning to return now? Then let's just eat them and see how they come back. Su Zimo laughed. He hadn't expected that, by pure accident in his past life, he had eaten all these baby dragon fruits, ruining the dragon race's long-laid plans. The birth of the dragon race is blessed by the heavenly Tao and the dragon gods. Killing these younglings might not provoke the Tao itself, but the dragon gods definitely won't let you off, Chaos warned. Though the dragon race had been wiped out in this world, the race itself hadn't vanished from the annals of fate. What's there to fear? Our true martial sacred ground isn't lacking in powerful backers, Su Zimo said with a grin. Chaos paused at his words. True, the dragon gods were mighty, but the true martial sacred ground had its own terrifying strength, for grand emperors in one lineage. An imperial lineage's power wasn't just in its deep foundations or the divine artifacts left behind by past grand emperors, nor merely in their imperial generals, but in the grand emperors themselves. Though grand emperors rarely intervened directly in worldly matters, their mere existence provided a safeguard. If the dragon gods broke the rules to kill someone from true martial sacred ground, a grand emperor could descend into the primordial heartlands from the higher worlds and step in to fight them. Lesser sects weren't so fortunate. This was why many top-tier sects desperately sought to rise to imperial lineage status, because with a high-level power on your side, you at least had a voice at the table. Master, although you're not afraid of the dragon gods, but I think that just eating these dragon fruits would be such a waste, Chaos tried to advise. As a fellow primordial beast, there was only so much it could say. If Su Zimo insisted on eating them, it couldn't stop him. I was just saying, Su Zimo shrugged. These dragon fruits are valuable to me. I wouldn't waste them by eating them. Besides, with my current strength, their benefits wouldn't be that significant. Master, you're not thinking of raising these baby dragons, are you? Chaos asked, surprised. Not now, Su Zimo said. I don't have the spirit force or blood energy resources to nurture them yet, but I can take them with me. Once my plan succeeds, I think the time will be right. Chapter 154, Primordial Chaos Bead resonates. Hearing Su Zimo's words, Chaos looked at the dragon tree with a hint of sympathy. Though the dragon race had committed many atrocities in their past life, they had paid for their karma through extinction. And now, in this life, before these young dragons could even be born, they had already fallen into the hands of this man. Spirit force surged in Su Zimo's hands. He gripped the trunk of the tree, veins bulging on his arms, and with a united motion of his waist and legs, he forcibly pulled the dragon tree out of the ground. Cracks spread across the earth, and it seemed like sorrowful dragon roars echoed from below. The massive dragon tree was uprooted completely. Su Zimo quickly stored it into his storage ring. Normal rings could only store inanimate objects, but Su Zimo's ring was of the highest grade. It could store both living and dead matter. However, since the dragon tree had been separated from this land and no longer had ample spirit force and vitality, its growth had temporarily stopped. After putting away the dragon tree, Su Zimo and Chaos explored the surrounding area. Small bridges over flowing water, withered vines on ancient trees, the sun setting in the west. Walking a lap along the mountain stream's path, Su Zimo was just about to leave when he suddenly felt a movement from within his True Fate world. To be precise, it wasn't the True Fate world itself that moved, but the primordial chaos bead hidden within it. In the previously barren True Fate world, ripples of space spread outward. The primordial chaos bead tore through the void and floated in midair. Radiant light burst out from it, and Su Zimo could feel the primordial chaos bead's emotions, longing and desire. Something here is calling to it?
Su Zimo Muter.
He scanned the surroundings. Aside from the rock wall of the mountain stream, there didn't seem to be anything unusual. He took 2 steps northward but sensed resistance from the primordial chaos bead. Then he stepped south, still resistance. Only when Su Zimo walked eastward did the primordial chaos bead express joy. Feeling puzzled, he walked toward the rock wall in front of him. The primordial chaos bead's pulsing became even more intense. Black spirit force surged in his right hand, and he punched directly through the rock wall. Looking inside, Su Zimo saw a hidden space, an interlayer of vacuum. It was a black hole, bottomless, and it was unclear where it led beneath the rock wall. "You go first and scout it out," Su Zimo said to Chaos. "Master, are you using me as a decoy?" Chaos asked in shock. "If not a decoy, what are you good for? You think I should worship you like some honored elder?"
Su Yimo riplit culi.
"Besides, with your thick skin and tough flesh, you can survive longer in danger and give me a better chance to escape." "Damn!" Chaos cursed inwardly, then forced a smile. "Master, don't worry. Through fire or blades, I'll protect you with my life." Then Chaos led the way, and Su Zimo followed into the cave. The passage was quite wide. Su Zimo only had to hunch slightly to enter. But even with his body minimized, Chaos had to crawl to fit through. The air inside the tunnel was thin, and the deeper they went, the more an icy chill seeped into their bones. This coldness didn't just target the flesh, it seemed to freeze the soul as well. What shocked Su Zimo was that this chill bypassed all defenses and acted directly on the body. That meant whether you were a mortal or a mighty cultivator at the God Meridian realm, there was no difference under this cold. "Master, I can't go on. A few more steps and I'll freeze into an ice sculpture," Chaos said, trembling. "Let's head back, then," Su Zimo said. He was also near his limit and planned to find another way. At that moment, the primordial chaos bead in the True Fate world pulsed again, and a wave of energy split in two, enveloping both Su Zimo and Chaos. Once this energy surrounded them, the bone-piercing chill vanished completely, as if cut off. "What is this, Master?" Chaos asked curiously. "Why ask so many questions? Keep crawling," Su Zimo said flatly. Man and beast continued onward for about 10 minutes, until Su Zimo finally saw a beam of light. The space inside had opened up slightly, though it wasn't particularly large. What surprised Su Zimo was that the light was not from the sun, but from a dense, pure white liquid that glowed faintly. The liquid had formed into the shape of a strange creature. To Su Zimo it looked bizarre. At first glance it had a head, 2 arms, and 2 legs. But at a second glance it seemed to have countless heads, limbs, and legs. The creature's form was one Su Zimo had never seen before. It felt both eerily familiar and completely alien. "What kind of beast is this?" Su Zimo asked Chaos. "I've never seen it either," Chaos muttered, deep in thought. "Even in the desolate era, this type didn't exist?" Su Zimo asked curiously. "Could it be a mythical beast that went extinct in the legendary era?" "It might not be a beast at all," Chaos replied just as the liquid creature began to move. A deep white light radiated from its body. When this light hit Su Zimo, he suddenly felt completely restrained. All his strength was sealed, and even the slightest movement became difficult. But the creature didn't attack after immobilizing him. Instead, it floated upward toward the top of the cave. Just as it was about to leave, the primordial chaos bead in Su Zimo's True Fate world grew anxious. With Su Zimo's permission, it flew out from the True Fate world and hovered in midair, clashing with the creature. Gray mist billowed from the primordial chaos bead, and within it, space shattered and even time seemed to freeze. But the creature was no ordinary being either. Within its body, all the beasts of heaven and earth emerged. Legendary god beasts from myth began to manifest. Flying through clouds, roaring to the heavens, the sound of the grand Tao echoed, and endless divine radiance began breaking apart the gray mist of the primordial chaos bead. As the creature nearly escaped, the primordial chaos bead seemed to grow angry. At that moment, again with Su Zimo's consent, the True Fate world unleashed its full power. The river of fate surged violently. Light radiated from the pure moon altar, rising slowly. Even the previously unmerged yin-yang energy released boundless holy light, forcibly pulling the creature into the True Fate world. Then, everything vanished into the void, disappearing without a trace. Chapter 155, Supreme Een Netherglow. As the true fate world returned to calm, the suppression on Su Zimo's body also vanished. He carefully sensed his true fate world but found no noticeable changes. Seeing chaos deep in thought, Su Zimo asked, "You know something, little dumpling? A very old legend, so ancient it's nearly forgotten. Most people no longer believe in it," Chaos replied seriously. "Even I don't know if it's true. I can only guess." "What legend?" Su Zimo asked. "The origin of all species," Chaos said slowly. Su Zimo was taken aback. He didn't know much about the origin of species. The most widely accepted theory was that humans evolved from beast races. Back then, Qin Yangzi had proposed the theory of beast-to-human evolution. He and Grand Emperor Li even created a hybrid species, the half-beast race. Though the experiment ultimately failed, Qin Yangzi's theory gained broad acceptance. Not only the demon clans, even the human race itself acknowledged this view. "You mean Qin Yangzi's theory on the evolution of humans?" Su Zimo asked curiously.
No.
"This goes even further back," Chaos replied. "Have you ever wondered, if humans evolved from beasts, then where did beasts come from? The origin of beasts?" Su Zimo paused. He had honestly never considered that. "This is a secret passed down among the beast races. I don't know whether it's true or not," Chaos said. "Legend has it that, in the beginning of this realm, the world was nothing but chaos. The primordial chaos bead split heaven and earth. At that time, no living creatures existed. After the split, the supreme yang energy within the chaos fused with the essence of the sun and gave birth to a creature known as Supreme Yang Solar Illumination. This Supreme Yang Solar Illumination was the most powerful and noble being in existence. We call it the Holy God. Simultaneously, the Supreme Yin energy fused with the essence of the moon, birthing another creature, Supreme Een Netherglow. We call this one the Primal Sage. Supreme Yang Solar Illumination, Supreme Een Netherglow, Su Zimo murmured. He had never heard those names before. Even when the primordial chaos bead took him into the river of fate and showed him the evolution of all things, there was no mention of these two. But the river of fate formed at the very beginning of the age. That left only one explanation. Supreme Yang Solar Illumination and Supreme Een Netherglow existed before the river of fate. "Keep going," Su Zimo said, staring at Chaos. Chaos nodded. Yin and Yang gave rise to the two forms. The two forms merged to produce the four symbols. The four symbols gave rise to the 8 trigrams, and from the 8 trigrams came all things. The two forms created the essence of heaven and earth. The four symbols shaped its structure. According to the guesses passed down from our ancestors, Supreme Yang Solar Illumination and Supreme Een Netherglow gave birth to the world's first legendary beasts. From the 4 god beasts to all the legendary fierce creatures, they were all descendants of the Holy God and Primal Sage. Over time, these god beasts evolved further into the various beast races you see today. "I think I'm starting to get it," Su Zimo muttered, deep in thought. "Let me explain it more simply," Chaos said. "Take the dragon race, for example. Forget the lesser ones. Let's talk about dragon gods. In our beast race, ancient paintings of dragon gods have circulated for ages. Their heads resemble camels, horns like deer, eyes like rabbits, ears like oxen, necks like snakes, bellies like clams, scales like carp, claws like eagles, and palms like tigers. According to our traditions, these features, rabbit, ox, snake, carp, eagle, tiger, they were all evolved from the dragon gods. That's why parts of them resemble the dragon so closely. The dragon is one of the 4 god beasts. If the 4 god beasts created all lesser mythical beasts, and the 4 god beasts themselves were born from Supreme Yang Solar Illumination and Supreme Een Netherglow, then it stands to reason that all beasts ultimately descended from those two. Put simply, Supreme Yang Solar Illumination and Supreme Een Netherglow gave rise to the 4 god beasts, who then gave rise to the myriad beasts. And from those beasts, some eventually evolved into humans. You're saying that creature we just saw is related to Supreme Yang Solar Illumination and Supreme Een Netherglow? Su Zimo asked, stunned. After Supreme Yang's solar illumination and Supreme Yi Netherglow created all the beasts, they disappeared, Chaos said solemnly. I suspect the monster we saw just now is the true form of Supreme Yi Netherglow. And the pearl that flew out of your body, that must be the primordial chaos bead.
Su Yimo Yumpek in shock.
He glanced at Chaos and said, Wow, you're not as dumb as you look. Master, just tell me, is that really the primordial chaos bead? Chaos asked excitedly. What's it got to do with you? Just be a good lapdog. Su Zimo replied coolly. Master, I never knew you were hiding such power, Chaos said with excitement. From now on, Little Dumpling is yours. Through fire or flood, to the ends of time, I'll never leave your side. You're supposed to be a god beast from the desolate era. Have a little pride, will you? Su Zimo said, speechless. Can pride make me stronger? Chaos asked.
No.
Then I'll stick to being your loyal sidekick. Oh, Master, why are you so calm? What's there to be excited about? The primordial chaos bead, Supreme Yi Netherglow. Compared to these, even Grand Emperors are trash, Chaos exclaimed. I don't get it. No matter how powerful they are, what do they have to do with you? Su Zimo turned around and asked, exasperated. How not? I'm your meridian beast. If you become strong, I benefit too. And then, when you eat meat, you'll save me some soup, right?
No.
Oh. Master, can I touch your primordial chaos bead? Scram. Okay, boss. Oh. After leaving the Nether Dragon ravine, the sky had already grown dark. Su Zimo stored Chaos back into his pocket dimension, then checked his True Fate world again. Still no changes. Whether that thing was truly Supreme Yi Netherglow, Su Zimo didn't know, and honestly didn't care much right now. Tomorrow was the sect's Holy Sun Ascension ceremony. That night, his father, Su Qingshan, sent over a set of ceremonial robes. He said it was the Holy Sun's robe. Su Zimo was to wear it for the ceremony. The night passed quietly. Next day, Su Zimo had no plans to cultivate and spent the evening drinking and chatting with Chaos. He pried out many secret tales about the beast races. Chaos now acted like a devoted sidekick clinging to a powerful boss. Thinking back on how arrogant it once was, Su Zimo couldn't help but sigh. The world is declining, and even beastly pride isn't what it used to be. Chapter 156, 100 Beast Tribe. The ceremonial robe was pure white, with the words True Martial embroidered across the back, and a crescent moon symbol on the chest. The entire robe was woven from the silk of the eternal spring silkworm, felt warm and smooth to the touch. As the sun rose once again, a new day began. With the assistance of his two maids, Chunxiao and Shaqiu, Su Zimo washed and got ready. He picked up the Holy Sun's robe with one hand and draped it over himself. Then, accompanied by little Gue, he walked toward the location of the investiture ceremony. The morning breeze danced through the final days of autumn, and the weather had already begun to cool. Along the way, everyone they passed, whether ordinary elders or core disciples, greeted Su Zimo with respect. The status of the Holy Sun within the sect was exceptional, on par with the 7 Grand Elders. When Su Zimo arrived at the site of the investiture ceremony, it was already packed with people. Almost every disciple of the true martial sacred ground had gathered there. Our true martial sacred ground has existed for over 100,000 years, since the founding by the first patriarch, Zhan Wu the Great. Su Qingshan stood at the forefront, sweeping his gaze across the crowd as he spoke loudly, his voice imbued with spirit force. In these 100,000 years, our sacred ground has produced many figures worthy of being remembered by the ages. What makes me proud is that despite countless trials and tribulations, time has not worn down this great force. Instead, it has made us stronger and more united. Yet we all understand that past glory belongs to yesterday. Together, we must move toward an even brighter future. Our disciple Su Zimo achieved first place in the 6 Holy Lands gathering. After careful observation and discussion among myself and the 7 Grand Elders, We have decided to appoint Su Zimo as the Holy Son of this generation. We hope he will bear the mission of the Holy Son. Su Zimo, listening to the long-winded opening speech, found himself bored. He only stepped forward once the speech was nearing its end. He accepted the unique Holy Son identification token from Su Qingshan's hands, then turned to face the sea of disciples below. His eyes were sharp, and the wind tousled his long hair while his white robe fluttered gently. This is the best of times. Su Zimo paused, a smile tugging at the corner of his lips as he slowly spoke. Because you will all bear witness to the rise of a truly dazzling era. You will become witnesses to history's brilliance. But this is also the worst of times because you were born in the same era as me. In my era, if you're a dragon, you'll coil. If you're a tiger, you'll crouch. Whether geniuses or monsters, under my radiance, you will all fade into obscurity. As his voice fell, the once noisy crowd fell completely silent. Everyone stared in disbelief at the young man in front of them. You only need to understand one thing, Su Zimo said flatly as he looked at the crowd. I will carry the heaven's will. From now on, there will only be two grand emperors in this world. One is called Su Zimo, the other is every other emperor. After speaking, Su Zimo glanced around at the people surrounding him, then turned and walked away. At that moment, he was the absolute center of attention. Everyone watched his retreating figure in silence. Everyone understood clearly what Su Zimo meant. This guy had ambition. He was setting himself apart from all other grand emperors. Setting aside the stir his words caused in the sacred ground, Su Zimo bid farewell to Su Qingshan the day after the investiture ceremony, preparing to leave the western region. This time he brought little Gue with him. Even Sita Gooden was considered grown up now, and as Su Zimo rode atop his black tiger mount, he and little Gue set off at dawn, just as the sky began to brighten. There were many routes from the western region to the central region of the eastern continent. Su Zimo chose the path through the Grand Myriad Mountains. As long as he crossed them, he'd reach the eastern continent directly. The morning mist was still asleep, not yet lifted. Two figures gradually disappeared into the haze. The Grand Myriad Mountains lay to the east of the western region. The vast range twisted and turned across the land. Because the range was so massive that no one could count its peaks, locals came to call it the Grand Myriad Mountains. Deep within the mountains lived many tribes. These tribes treated demon beasts as sources of strength and sacred totems. Each tribe worshipped its own chosen beast, and outsiders collectively referred to them as the 100-Beast tribe. Of course, they were different from the half-beasts of the Myriad Beast sect. The 100-Beast tribe members were pure-blood humans. Su Zimo and little Gue traveled in the dust for 7 days before finally reaching the foot of the mountains just before nightfall. Holy Son, let's find a nearby tribe to rest in for the night, little Gue suggested. We can continue traveling tomorrow. Su Zimo nodded and replied, From now on, just call me Senior Brother. They entered the Grand Myriad Mountains. It was already November, and a northern wind blew cold air through the forest. Su Zimo rode his dark sky tiger through the woods for a dozen minutes before spotting flickering firelight in the distance. As they approached, they saw a small-scale tribe. At the entrance stood a large tiger statue. In front of the tribe, a group of people was dancing and singing around a bonfire, seemingly celebrating something. There were just over 100 people, not many, but the atmosphere was festive. Their totem must be the tiger, Su Zimo said to little Gue. The two approached, and the tribe members quickly noticed the outsiders. Greetings. Little Gue approached them with a smile. We are travelers crossing the Grand Myriad Mountains. It's getting late. May we stay here for the night? Where are you from? An elderly man with graying hair, who seemed highly respected, stepped forward and asked cautiously. We're from the western region, heading to the heart of the eastern continent, little Gue replied. The old man was silent for a moment before finally saying, All right, come on in. Once Su Zimo and little Gue entered, the elder glanced at the dark sky tiger behind them. He gave a slight bow 3 times. The rest of the tribe followed and also bowed 3 times. This is one of the branches of the tiger tribe, Outsiders rarely come here, the elder said with a smile. Fewer visitors make for a more peaceful life, little Gue replied. It's precisely because it's so peaceful that many of our youth have gone out to explore the world in recent years, the elder said, shaking his head. The homes in the tiger tribe resembled tents. Their rooms were constructed from a very special kind of fabric. Chapter 157, Titan Race. Su Zimo remembered that back in the true martial sacred ground, there was a young man named Gao Xiong who came from the depths of the Grand Myriad Mountains. After leading them into a room, the old man was about to leave when Su Zimo called out to him. Elder, I heard that a giant was seen deep in the Grand Myriad Mountains not long ago. Is that true? Su Zimo asked with a smile. I haven't seen any giants myself, the old man replied after thinking for a moment. But a while back, in the middle of the night, I was woken by an incredibly loud, thunderous sound of footsteps, like thunder exploding by my ears. I was so scared I stayed inside and didn't dare come out. The noise lasted until morning. Later, I heard people saying it was a giant over 100 meters tall. They said he had 3 heads and 6 arms, and when he opened his mouth just a little, he drank an entire pond dry in an instant. After the old man left, little Gue asked in surprise, What kind of creature is that? The Titan race, Su Zimo replied. Little Gue froze, then quickly responded, I think I read about them in a book once. Supposedly, they were the 3rd great race in the world, after the beast race and human race. But I also heard they went extinct during the Desolate Era. True, but some always manage to survive due to one reason or another, Su Zimo said. The night passed without incident. Su Zimo cultivated the whole night, but early the next morning, he was jolted from his meditative state by a loud commotion. He and little Gue stepped outside and saw the entire tribe gathered at the entrance. Everyone was looking skyward as a Pegasus descended from the horizon. It was entirely silver, glowing with a soft light. As it flew through the sky, it left behind a long white streak. The Pegasus pulled a carriage made from rare soulwood. Atop the Pegasus sat an old woman in white robes. Beside the carriage, a young man in golden armor walked through the air, slowly descending. We are from the core region of the Eastern Continent, the young man declared, exuding a powerful aura. His golden armor gleamed in the sunlight, making him look like a war god descended from the heavens. There have been recent rumors of a giant passing through the Grand Myriad Mountains. Has anyone here seen him with their own eyes? Sir, we were so frightened we all hid indoors. No one dared come out, said the same elderly man who had welcomed Su Zimo and little Gue. There are so many of you. I don't believe none of you saw anything, the young man said coldly. Well, I did sneak out and see something. A young boy stepped forward from the crowd. But it was dark, and all I saw was a huge shadow. Before I could get a good look, it was already gone. Fine, the youth said. All of you in this tribe are to spread out and search the area for the giant. If you find any clues, you'll be handsomely rewarded. If not, don't bother coming back. But, sir, the giant left days ago. How are we supposed to find him now? The old man pleaded. Not my problem. How you find him is your business, the youth replied coldly. Little Gue frowned and looked at the arrogant youth. Senior brother, they're being way too domineering. Power lets you be domineering, Su Zimo said with a grin. So what do we do? Little Gue asked. Help them look for the giant, of course, Su Zimo said, smiling. This show's too good not to watch. Don't even think about running, the youth warned the crowd. I'm watching all of you. If anyone dares flee, I'll make sure you live a life worse than death. Hearing his words, the villagers fell silent. The strongest warrior in their tribe was only at the true Meridian realm. But this young man could walk through the air. He was at least in the desolate Meridian realm. Everyone spread out to search for traces of the giant. But after an entire day, nothing was found. By dusk, everyone had returned to the village. The Pegasus stood nearby, and the old woman still sat calmly on its back. No one knew who or what was in the carriage behind her. Seeing the people return, the youth frowned and asked, You found nothing? Everyone shook their heads. After a moment of thought, the young man walked to the carriage and looked at the old woman. Lady Shuelua, there's no trace here. Could the giant have already left? Impossible. The formation reacted here. That means the essence of life must be nearby. The old woman replied calmly. The youth nodded, then turned back to the crowd and shouted, "Searching like this won't work. There's no pressure on you, and I don't have time to waste. Let's set some rules. I'll give you 5 days. If you still haven't found anything, then every day after that, I'll kill 1/5 of your people. By the end of the 5th day, you'll all be dead." The entire tribe erupted in protest. The elder stepped forward and said sternly, "Sir, we are a branch of the Tiger tribe. If you kill us, you'll be making enemies of the entire 100-beast tribe." "So what?" The youth scoffed. "You're just a bunch of primitive beast worshippers. Do you even know who we are? We're from the Chi clan, an imperial lineage of the eastern continent. My name is Chi Lei. You'd better remember it, so at least you'll know who killed you." Hearing that, the old man's face changed dramatically. He fell silent for a long time, clearly torn. Just then, a thunderous boom erupted nearby. "You're looking for me. This has nothing to do with them." The deep voice echoed loudly as the ground began to tremble. A giant emerged from the earth. He was at least 100 meters tall with a dark brown body. Besides his massive size, his appearance was also unusual. His eyes were narrow slits, ears like shields resembling snail shells, a tall nose bridge and thick, heavy lips. "Lady Shuelua, he's here!" shouted Chi Lei, sensing the giant's overwhelming presence as he ran toward the carriage. The old woman rose into the air, her true fate manifesting. She was a cultivator of the Imperial Meridian realm. Countless snowflakes danced behind her as she spoke sharply. "Hand over your essence of life, and I'll let you leave. The essence of life is the heart of our Titan race. If you've got the guts, come and take it yourself." The giant roared, raising his head defiantly at the old woman.
Chapter 158 Chi clan esse sentes.
Countless snowflakes drifted through the night. The already cool evening suddenly plunged into the deep chill of winter, so cold that everyone shivered uncontrollably. The old woman was shrouded in frigid energy, her hand reaching out toward the Titan. The snowflakes along her path began to freeze the space itself. The Titan let out a furious roar. Though he couldn't fly when he stood upright, his height nearly matched the old woman floating in midair. With one punch, he shattered the spirit force-formed hand the old woman had summoned, sending shards of ice scattering in the sky. The Titan slightly crouched, then leapt from the ground like a comet streaking into the air. His jump spanned hundreds of meters. His right fist tore through space with overwhelming force and slammed toward the old woman. Her expression remained calm as she slowly raised a dragon-headed staff. When the staff struck the ground with a soft tap, the space around her instantly froze. The falling snow coalesced into a massive shield. The Titan's punch smashed into it. Crack, crack. Cracks spread across the shield's surface, but in the end, it held firm. The old woman tapped the dragon-headed staff again. This time, a beam of white light emerged from the dragon's mouth. As it flashed, the surrounding snowflakes condensed into the form of an ice dragon. The ice dragon roared and, with storm-like fury in its claws, charged toward the Titan. Watching the battle in the sky, Su Zimo turned to Little Gue. "Go see who's inside that carriage." Little Gue nodded, and the two made their way toward the side of the carriage. When Chi Lei saw them approaching, he quickly stepped in front of them and scowled. "What do you filthy peasants think you're doing? Don't go calling people peasants. The Chi clan's not all that great," Little Gue snapped. He pulled out his long staff and charged at Chi Lei. Little Gue was now at the peak of the true Meridian realm, and he had cultivated a Grand Emperor-level technique given to him by Su Zimo. Before leaving the true martial sacred ground, Su Zimo had specifically upgraded Little Gue's weapon, swapping his previous profound-grade weapon for a heaven-grade long staff. Though Little Gue wasn't invincible among his peers, he was definitely of elite talent. His talent wasn't particularly outstanding, but everything he had now came from stacked resources. As Little Gue clashed with Chi Lei, who was in the desolate Meridian realm, their fight was evenly matched. Su Zimo chuckled lightly and stood before the carriage. The person inside, not planning to come out? The carriage remained silent. The Pegasus beside it neighed softly. Su Zimo smiled, then slowly unsheathed the Shadow Tyrant on his back. The blade erupted in raging flames as he slashed down at the carriage. "You dare?" Chi Lei roared, furious and panicked. "Worry about yourself first." Little Gue laughed, his staff roaring like a tiger. Staff shadows filled the air, layered and unrelenting. Boom! The deep red carriage was split into pieces by Su Zimo's blade. From within, a white figure flew out. It was a young woman in a purple dress. Her long hair was snow-white, and her eyes were a deep blue. Her expression was cold and calm, an ice queen. Even her presence carried a faint, icy chill. "Peak of the desolate Meridian realm," Su Zimo observed with a slight smile as he looked at her. "Who are you people?" the woman asked coldly as countless purple ribbons unfurled from her body. Su Zimo grinned and slashed with Shadow Tyrant, carving a deep rift in the heavens. The woman frowned slightly. Her purple ribbons danced through the air and gathered together to block his attack. Then, those same ribbons transformed into countless sharp swords and rained down toward Su Zimo. "For someone so young with strength like this, you must be the saintess of the Chi clan," Su Zimo said with a light laugh. His blade trembled slightly, and endless flames surged from it. Thunder rumbled, wrapping the sword in strands of faint violet lightning that exploded across the sky. The woman's expression grew solemn. Her ribbons shattered to pieces under the force. The chill around her intensified as she was forced back a few steps. "Let's end this. I'm not interested in wasting time with you," Su Zimo said casually. As he spoke, the full aura of a peak Paragon Meridian Realm cultivator burst from his body. The surrounding air exploded outward. With one step, ripples spread through space. He had appeared behind the woman. She gasped in shock, unable to react in time. Su Zimo struck her in the back, knocking her from midair. "If you dare harm her, prepare to face the wrath of the Chi clan."
Chi Lei roared in fury.
He tried to save her, but Little Gue kept him pinned down, not letting him move an inch. As the cold blade of Shadow Tyrant touched the woman's equally cold neck, her gaze, normally icy and indifferent, now held a trace of shock. She never expected to lose so quickly. Among her peers in the Eastern continent, she had always held a sense of pride. Whether it was her talent, her clan, or her strength, she was not inferior to anyone. In fact, she surpassed many. Yet now, in front of this complete stranger her age, she hadn't even lasted a full move. She hadn't even had time to use her stronger techniques before being defeated. At that moment, the battle in the sky reached a fever pitch. The old woman had gained the upper hand over the Titan. She was an experienced veteran at the Imperial Meridian Realm, with immense combat experience, and her dragon-headed staff was a rare artifact. The Titan, despite being at a higher realm, likely in the Saint Meridian realm, was seriously injured. He had to use half of his power to suppress his wounds, leaving him greatly weakened in combat. Now the old woman's aura surged. Snowflakes filled the sky like falling stars. Her dragon-headed staff glowed brightly. The ice and snow condensed into a long spear. Its tip gathered a sharp edge and biting chill. The spear became a beam of light as the old woman poured all her power into it, intending to end the fight in one blow. As the spear tore through the air, unstoppable and violent, her entire body grew visibly weaker, her life force dimming. Just then, darkness fell over the world. A blade light burst from the horizon, accompanied by a low whisper. 19 forms of Dao-seeking. 9th form, Celestial Rift. The blade carried boundless sharpness and shattered the very fabric of space. The old woman's eyes widened. Time froze in that moment. Chapter 159, Essence of Life. The old woman didn't even have time to react. She was torn apart by the blade light. The snowstorm instantly vanished, and blood and pieces of her body rained from the sky. The ice spear she had condensed struck heavily into the Titan's chest, piercing his entire body. Lady Shuelua, Chi Lei roared, his eyes wide with rage and panic as he witnessed the scene. Little Gue seized the opportunity, slamming his staff hard into Chi Lei's back and knocking him to the ground. Chi Lei took a deep breath, trying to get up, only to have Little Gue stomp his head into the dirt. As Su Zimo walked forward, the woman beside him remained calm. Her expression was serious, but she showed no fear. Chi Lei, on the other hand, yelled in fury, "You killed Lady Shula. The Chi clan will never let you get away with this. Shouldn't you be more worried about your own life right now?" Su Zimo said with a smile, holding the shadow tyrant as he slowly approached Chi Lei. "What are you trying to do?" Chi Lei's expression shifted, his voice trembling. "Tell me your names, your background, and your purpose here," Su Zimo said casually. "Never. Just wait for the Chi clan's revenge." No sooner had the words left Chi Lei's mouth than a blade flashed in front of him. His right arm was severed, and blood sprayed into the air. "Don't kill me. I'll talk. I'll talk." Chi Lei screamed in fear, barely enduring the pain in his arm. "I thought you were tough," Little Gue scoffed. "Turns out you're just spineless." "We're from the Chi clan, one of the imperial lineages in the eastern continent," Chi Lei said quickly. He pointed to the woman beside him. "She's named Chi Qianxue, one of the top contenders to become this generation's saintess. We came here to find a Titan and take the essence of life from his body." "What do you want the essence of life for?" Little Gue asked. "I don't know exactly. I just know that recently the family head issued an order. Whoever finds a life attribute treasure will be named the clan's next saint or saintess," Chi Lei explained anxiously. "So you decided to target the Titans?" Su Zimo said with a light laugh. "Do you even know that ever since the Imperial era, it's been strictly forbidden across the primordial heartlands to harm a member of the Titan race?" "I know, but everyone knows the unspoken rule. If you kill them in secret and don't get caught, it doesn't matter," Chi Lei replied. "I've told you everything. Please let me go. I swear I'll forget everything that happened today." The Titan race was a unique race on the primordial heartlands. From Zhen Wu the Great onward, every generation of Grand Emperors had passed down a decree forbidding the killing of Titans. No one knew why the Grand Emperors issued this order, or what made the Titans so special. "I never said I'd let you go," Su Zimo said with a calm smile. He raised the shadow tyrant, and Chi Lei's head exploded like a watermelon, blood spraying through the air. Su Zimo turned to the woman and said with a smile, "Chi Qianxue. Not a bad name. If you're going to kill me, do it." "I won't tell you anything," Chi Qianxue replied flatly. "You don't need to, I already know," Su Zimo said. "Your Chi clan has a formation that requires a life attribute treasure to operate. But life attribute items are rare, and over the centuries your clan has exhausted most of what it had. So the Chi clan's patriarch came up with this desperate plan." Chi Qianxue's eyes narrowed. "Who are you really?" "That's not important," Su Zimo said. "The real question is, what should I do with you? Killing me would be pointless. You'd be better off trading me for something of value. Just tell me what you want. If I can do it, I'll pay for my life with it," Chi Qianxue said evenly. The Chi clan was an imperial lineage based in the core region of the eastern continent. Their ancestor was Grand Emperor Bing Shui. One of the 10 forbidden grounds, known as the Elden Grounds, lay in the eastern continent's core region. Thousands of years ago, the God Emperor founded a sect called Divine Gate within the Elden Grounds. No one knew his purpose, and few had ever seen anyone from the Divine Gate. The God Emperor's tale was legendary. After bearing the heaven's will, he attempted to unify all of the primordial heartlands. But with so many imperial lineages around, no one wanted to submit. He destroyed 7 of them in a row, but instead of creating fear, this only provoked outrage. On that day, a loud boom echoed from the heavens. 3 black holes opened in the sky. From them descended 3 ancient Grand Emperors, long thought to exist only in myth. No one knew what happened in that battle, but the god emperor vanished after that day. His divine gate never left the Elden Grounds again. The Elden Grounds became one of Primordial Heartland's 10 forbidden grounds, located in a land forgotten by heaven and earth. It was vast, its southeastern borders touching the surrounding ocean of the eastern continent. Only the northwest borders met land, and those northern borders happened to adjoin territory ruled by the Chi clan. The Chi clan feared that one day Divine Gate would reemerge. If that happened, they would be the first target. So, during the era of the Formation Emperor, when he bore the Heaven's Will, the Chi clan invited him to place a formation at the border between their land and the Elden Grounds. With this formation in place, they wouldn't have to worry about Divine Gate breaking through from the north. However, the formation required life attribute treasures to remain active. Over centuries of operation, it had consumed an enormous amount of them. Now, those treasures were running out, and the Chi clan could no longer find enough to keep the formation going. Meanwhile, not far away, the Titan, who had previously been impaled by the spear, was now slowly standing up. The wound on his chest had completely disappeared. A glow surrounded his body, and soon the Titan began to shrink down to normal human size. He transformed into a bald young man wearing an ancient and oddly styled long robe. His muscles were thick and strong, his skin dark, with bold eyebrows and large eyes. When he smiled, he seemed simple and honest. The young man walked over and smiled at Suzimo. "Thanks for helping me earlier. So the Titan race can shrink like that, huh?" Little Gue said, eyeing him curiously. "What's your name?" Chapter 160. My name is Lu Pingfan. I don't have a name. The young man shook his head. But you can tell me yours. Where's your home? Little Gue continued asking. I don't have a home either. But right now, I'm working on something truly great. The young man replied with a grin. What is it? Little Gue asked curiously. I'll tell you, but you mustn't share it with anyone else, the youth said with a sheepish smile, then whispered, Actually, the world we live in is round, like an orange. Round? The world is endless, Little Gue argued. Suzimo glanced at Little Gue, then at the young man. The truth is, the nature of this world had been debated and explored since ancient times, even by many grand emperors. One of the most famous was Grand Emperor Shenxing. After accepting his destiny, Grand Emperor Shenxing vanished. Before he left behind a single line. With my feet, I will walk the brilliance of all mountains and rivers. He set off in one direction. After an extremely long journey, he reached the easternmost end of the world, a literal boundary. The myth that the world was infinite was completely shattered. There, Grand Emperor Shenxing encountered a barrier. No matter what he tried, not even a full-powered strike with a Grand Emperor true treasure could damage it in the slightest. Eventually, he returned to the true martial sacred ground and wrote one final sentence at the end of his travel logs. We live in a cage. After he ascended, his records were stored by the sect. Apart from the upper echelons, few disciples ever saw them. As a result, many on the primordial heartlands still believed the world was limitless. What makes you say the world is round? Little Gue asked the young man. The horizon is curved. When a ship comes in over the sea, the mast is the first thing we see. Then the hull follows. The young man explained with a grin. Back in the desolate era, the Titan race was believed to have been wiped out. Legend says they died resisting a great threat to the primordial heartlands. After the desolate era, the imperial era came and went. Then one day, a single Titan awoke to the world. From the moment he had consciousness, he had been alone. He had no family, no name. He began trying to understand the world, and discovered that his body was hundreds of times larger than a human's. He was an outcast. He lived in remote mountains, spending his days training and playing with desolate beasts. Then one day, as he looked at the sky with sunlight spilling gently through the clouds, he was struck by a sudden thought. He wanted to explore the shape of the world. Believe me, the young man said, if I start from the Grand Myriad Mountains and keep going in one direction, one day I'll circle the world and return to where I began. Little Gue fell silent for a moment, then muttered, "What's the point of debating whether the world is round? Why not spend that time cultivating? If we hadn't shown up today, you might have been captured and had your essence of life ripped out."
No.
"I have to prove it myself," the young man insisted. "Anyone want to come with me?" "We're not interested in that." Suzimo shook his head, smiling. "But I believe your theory. Then I'll be on my way. I hope we meet again someday," the young man said, laughing. With that, he transformed back into his towering giant form. With a single step spanning nearly 100 meters, the ground thundered as he strode away. Little Gue chuckled and turned to look at Qi Qianxue. "Senior brother, what about her?" "We're taking her to the eastern continent's core," Suzimo replied. During the earlier battle, the tiger tribe villagers had scattered like birds and beasts, fleeing into the mountains. Not a soul remained. Suzimo and Little Gue rested for half the night. At dawn, they mounted up and continued their journey. Suzimo rode the dark sky tiger, while Little Gue rode a green flood stallion. Qi Qianxue was tied to the flying horse she'd arrived on, which was in turn tethered to the dark sky tiger's neck. "Untie me. I won't run. Besides, with you here, I couldn't escape even if I wanted to," Qi Qianxue said to Suzimo. "Prisoners don't get to make demands," Little Gue snorted. "Once we reach the eastern continent, if there's no worthwhile ransom, you might not even survive." The winding mountain range was long and rugged. The terrain around them grew steep. Golden sunlight spilled across the peaks, and from above, the entire range looked like a coiled golden dragon. The long river flows gently. The sky fades into dusk. A sword of 3 feet in hand, I'll sweep away the world's dust. I walk while singing my song, and my sword descends from the heavens. A young man in a light cyan robe walked leisurely through the mountains, a green sword strapped to his back. A wine gourd hung at his waist, and he hummed, unclear whether it was poetry or a tune. The dark sky tiger thundered through the distance. The young man stopped, curiously watching Suzimo's group. He smiled and said softly, "I've been in the Grand Myriad Mountains for 10 days. This is the first time I've seen another person." Suzimo looked at the man's clothes and suddenly recalled someone, a legendary figure from his previous life. "Lady," the young man said, looking at Qi Qianxue, "please don't gaze at me with such intense possessiveness. Ah, this damned unparalleled beauty of mine." Qi Qianxue looked utterly confused, as if 10,000 mythical beasts were stampeding through her mind. "Friend, what's your name?" Little Gue asked warily. "I'm called Lu Pingfan," the man said with a grin. Ping as in ordinary, and fan as in divine descending from heaven. Then Lu Pingfan glanced at Little Gue and gasped, clicking his tongue. "Friend, I see great destiny in your forehead. A once-in-10,000 sword genius. I happen to have a peerless divine sword. Since fate has brought us together, I'll sell it to you at a discount." Suzimo dismounted and asked with a smile, "What divine sword? Let us see." Lu Pingfan chuckled, plucked a blade of grass from the roadside, and said solemnly, "This, my friend, is the sword I speak of. You think I'm stupid? Or are you just messing around?" Little Gue snorted. "That's a piece of grass. My friend, do you know the highest realm of swordsmanship?" Lu Pingfan asked. "What is it?" Little Gue blinked. "Grass, trees, bamboo, and stone. All can be swords," Lu Pingfan said, smiling. "This blade of grass is a divine sword. Wouldn't you agree?" Then he casually tossed the grass into the air. A torrent of sword light fell from the heavens. Boom! The mountain beside them was cleaved in half.